Very good. There we are. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. I am Pugs Moran, live from the south side of Chicago in the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios here on Radio Misfits, radiomisfits.com, Radio Misfits on YouTube, Radio Misfits on the Twitter box, Radio Misfits everywhere. And me, Pugs Moran. Hi. You can follow me anywhere too. You just Google search Pugs Moran socials. I've done it. I don't have to list them all. All you got to do is use Google. Just say Pugs Moran socials, and they'll all come up. So please help a fella out. Let's see. We have a chat room here every day. Got a lot we want to talk about. On a bit of a time crunch. Not I never. Have I ever done like 20 minutes? No, come on. So, even when I'm on a time crunch, the worst, 90 minutes. I'll give you 90 minutes. This one will probably be 2 hours, maybe even 2 hours plus. It all depends on text messages. Where's my phone? There it is. All right. What was that? What was that like flamboyant gene that just popped out? Here's my phone. Okay, got to get the phone squared away. The chat room every day, the gathered friends, my chickens, as I call them, gather in the chat room every day. Been doing it for 5 years. We mix it up. We talk about all the hot topics, current events, whatever it is. People from all faiths, all walks of life. 2 genders, though, pretty sure. I don't know. I welcome any representative of any species, gender, or, whatever. I don't care. We welcome everybody. Podium. What we do to start each and every day is I like to reward the chat room. I assign a podium list, just like an F1. First place, second place, and third place. It's the Lewis Hamilton of the chat room. Taronda comes in first place, followed by Barney. Barney's in second. Barney's become quite the regular on the podium. And of course, and April. That's our podium today. Taronda, Barney, and April also on the show because the show runs on your gratuities and your tips. It's how we pay for things around here. We've been doing it for 5 years. It's a mighty struggle, but, we do it because, love of the game. Anyway, when people tip the show, we like to reward them with the honorary title of executive producer, or we just simply say today's show is brought to you by, and it is no stranger to this. It's Peter again. Piotr. I like here's the name Peter. The name Peter has been around since the first couple of names. So is John and James and Thomas. The early biblical names. Listen to me. This is from a white guy perspective, right? Because all the early names are white guy biblical names. They're not from the Sumerian empire of umpire. I'm not going to get distracted. Point is this. Peter's one of them fun names. Like you hear it in Russian and it's like Piotr. But it's all, and then there's Petre. I don't know. I like it. Malleable, I guess is what I'm saying. The name Peter. I always I watch a lot of Viking stuff. And from time to time, there's Piotrs. And I'm like, that's a Peter. He'd be Peter if he lived today. We're going to talk a whole bunch about some of the things that you experience if you do, in fact, live today. And I expect that most of you do. We're going to get into, all right, so we'll touch on, the heavy stuff. Heavy stuff being, I think we're at war again. And the economy's in trouble. Okay, so we'll do that. Just touch on that. But we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about some lighter things. And by lighter, I mean, I want to get into this whole 60 minutes thing. See, I've been avoiding it. Barry Weiss, whatever, but this Scott Pelley situation and what he's saying and what's going to happen now. And more than that, what this means. We are in, folks, I've been saying this for years now. We are in a war for information. And I'll explain exactly what that means. This war, it's about the war is who we, ultimately, the peasants, the chickens, who we ultimately decide is the information we're going to believe. There is a war for that right now. There used to be gatekeepers and institutions. That doesn't exist. And there is a war for that. Who we, the peasants, the assembled masses, who we will choose to believe as the source of information. talked a lot about how so many of us have just kind of decided that we're just going to believe what we want to believe and just see how those chips fall. And guess what? There's been no difference. people just seem to be, going on with their lives, believing what they want to believe. So what is reality? Scott Pelley's reality is that he got fired yesterday from 60 Minutes. So we'll talk about that. Also, who else going to? Oh, Leslie Stahl might be next too. That's right. There's breaking Leslie Stahl news. What, her hip? She's 84 years old. Are we really going to get upset that Leslie Stahl is probably any minute now going to announce that she's leaving 60 Minutes? She's 84. Please. Oh, another of our fine, great journalists is stepping away from the once beloved institution of 60 Minutes. No, she's 84. Stop it. She's 84. Scott Pelley's interesting, though. Scott Pelley's interesting. We also are going to talk about that guy, that guy. What's his name? Ogles, Randy Ogles, the congressman who tweeted yesterday that there ain't no place in America for the gays. Well, it's Pride Month, so I think there's an entire industry that cashes huge checks from corporate backers that would disagree with you, sir. Scott Besson's gay, right? Like there's like dudes within this. Like I don't really see gay as being a base concern for MAGA in general. Now, maybe the Christian part of it. Anyway, this guy, he tweeted. Oh, stop it. He tweeted it. He's blaming it on some staffer who's going to be sternly reprimanded, but we'll talk about that whole story too. And the reaction to it. Even people in his own party, they're like, oh, geez, what is this guy doing? What the Jesus? There's a line, man. I guess even among them, there is a line. So we'll get into that. California had elections. I don't know what any of it means. Apparently nothing has changed in the race for LA mayor. Apparently we're just going to do 5 more months of Karen Bass and Spencer Pratt. Okay. All right. The governor election, that's even weirder. There's like some British guy. Some British guy is about to take over California. Steve Hilton. Honestly, I'd heard the man's name, but I don't really give a shit about California government. That's not a thing for me. I live in Illinois. Anyway, I heard the guy's name, and I saw him on stage, and I went, oh, that's Paris Hilton's dad. Like, that's what I assumed. That's how I was able to dismiss the Steve Hilton guy running for governor in California. It's Paris Hilton's dad. And then I hear him talking last night, and I'm like, that ain't Paris. That guy's not even American. What? Well, California had Arnold, but he was American. Arnold's American. Shut up. I don't care where he was born. Nobody represented American values in the 1980s better than Arnold. Except for maybe Sly. I don't know. Anyway, Arnold. California elections, we'll delve into that. We'll watch some video of oh my God, man. We got to be fair. We're going to watch some video from a high school graduation in North Carolina, the valedictorian, and by the way, she's like pretty, you just know that she is gonna be something. The valedictorian gets up and makes a speech and everybody freaked out. And I'm like, what? You gotta let her talk, man. That chick didn't go to no keggers. That chick was doing, she was in the library till close. She can tell you what the closing procedures are at the community library. That's what she was doing. And now she's got a chance to make a speech where she stands up and goes, I'm smarter than all you dipshits. And you're going to tell her that she can't say what? It's awesome. It's good video. She's a hero. I'm like, yeah, you go, girl. It doesn't matter what she said. She's the valedictorian. We'll get into it. She earned that speech, is my point. So we'll talk about that. We got more news. Yesterday, we did this sort of combined conversation about some of the stadium project deals in sports. We sort of mashed together. We hot mixed. From the 80s. We hot mixed the Dallas Mavericks announcing that they were moving to the Valley View, the decrepit, fallen down Valley View Mall Center in North Dallas. And we also talked about the Bears and how that, two different situations, how one was done perfectly, City of Dallas and the Mavericks, they did that perfectly. And then over here, the Chicago Bears, not so much. We are now waiting for our president, Kevin Warren, to be fired or resign from the Chicago Bears. But what comes more news today about another Dallas team. I asked the question yesterday. I said, so what's going to happen with the American Airlines Center? The Stars going to stay there alone? What? No. Stars made a big announcement. We'll go over that deal. We'll find out what that's about. Stars are moving. So what is they're just going to tear it down? I've seen like stuff going around on the Twitter box, AI generated, or we used to call it Photoshop, but AI generated American Airlines Center with a big Bass Pro Shop sign on it. What are they going to do with it? They going to tear it down? How easy is it? Well, I bet that land ain't worth dick. Boy, anyway, we'll get into all of that. That land ain't worth dick if there ain't two professional sports teams playing on top of it, is all I'm saying. I don't know. Can we get another USFL team or something in Dallas? Can we get what spare-ass sport can we try and prop up to the pro level and give them a nice home in one of America's finest cities? All right, and we got a whole, we're going to do we got 3 videos. We got Richard Pryor. I wanted to talk about this in our 3 video segment. We're going to watch some video of Richard Pryor. I've never seen this before, and I've seen a lot of Richard Pryor stuff. It's apparently recently unearthed, whatever that means. I mean, look, I'm just reading what the dude who posted it said. I don't know. I just know that I consider myself a bit of a Richard Pryor guy, and I've never seen this video before. Richard Pryor on the set of Stir Crazy back in like 1979. This just before he blew himself up, maybe just before he blew himself, like weeks possibly. I don't know. You can do the math yourself. I'm just trying to set the overall tone of the moment in Richard Pryor's life. Richard Pryor is sitting down on the set of Stir Crazy, and he's granted an interview to a Mormon television host because I guess they shot Stir Crazy in Utah or something. So this is an unearthed video of Richard Pryor just high as a kite, man, on coke. This is like total cocaine high. Just riffing like he's in a club and it's Saturday night at 11:30. He's just riffing like Richard Pryor in front of this Mormon guy who, is a big fraud because he wasn't offended, and you should be offended, but you're not because it's Richard Pryor, right? Well, we'll watch that. So a little bit of an extended edition of 3 Vids, a daily segment where we look at 3 weird videos and try and break them down. And can't beat fun at the All Ballpark. That's right. We're going to end the show with that. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff in here, too. The situation is run for governor. We'll touch on that. The Rangers, that's it. I skipped over that one. The Rangers have a pride problem. And all right. How long have we been out? Jesus Louises. I'm getting really sick of this. How long was I out, you guys? How long was it muted? Yeah. Here they come. All right. So apparently it was. Oh, okay. Okay. Muted after Rangers have a pride problem. Okay, good. All right. Jeez Louise, man, that bothers me. So why? It's just the restream. It just decides, hey, you know what? We're going to interrupt your live stream. I don't know. It might be a glitch. It might be something on my end. Who knows? Whatever. It's fine. Well, you know what? We have bigger burdens in life than this. So we shall make a choice not to let it upset us. So, yeah, I want to talk about the Rangers. The Rangers have a pride problem. And as I was saying, I feel better today than I did Monday, the first time I tackled Pride Month issues. feel very, I feel like I did it very clumsily. I didn't make my point to any degree that I was hoping. I have listened back to it and I was like, I fucking hate this guy. This guy is saying, what is wrong with him? Something was wrong with me on Monday, but I felt better yesterday. Never mind. Not going to get distracted. Yesterday, yeah, I felt good. And so we'll try and tackle this again. Adam, we'll stick around because we're gonna need you. Adam says, thank you, Byron. Adam says, as a diehard Ranger fan, it's so goddamn embarrassing to be the only team who doesn't celebrate Pieta. What is that? Some Mexican? No, I know you mean pride. Well, we'll talk about that. We'll I'll say this. I will say this. I don't want to, we'll get into it. I'll say this. The Rangers have made it weird. And there's no denying that. Anytime you're the last of anything, you're like, you made it weird. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about how unnecessary I feel this whole situation the Rangers find themselves in was, and how you can fix it. All right, so we're going to do all that and more. Anything, let's see, back to the chat room. Thank you. So 15 seconds is what Byron says. That's about all. I was gone. That's good. Yeah, and if I went out after the Rangers have a pride problem, then yeah, nothing was missed. Like you missed the damn pearls of wisdom. Oh, Missa. Please, we're fine. All right, let's see here. What do I want to start with? Here's what I want to start with. I want to show you guys a video, okay? Now, the reason I'll show you the video is because we have some context for this if you listen every day, and most of you do. You're not bringing any friends, and we're not growing, but we are static, and we are here. We are together. I was talking about the teen takeover movement and how that affects us here in Chicago, and certainly around the country. They're doing it all over the place. But we've kind of last weekend, it was kind of like it was prom weekend, prom weekend, which is an expected teen takeover of downtown Chicago. Like you can always be like, prom weekend, don't go downtown, man. Every kid, because you go to your prom and you go downtown. Well, I guess it depends. I don't remember. I mean, I celebrated 3 proms, went to none. Didn't go to any of my proms. But celebrated 3 of them, like went to like 3 different after prom parties and, all that kind of stuff. I had a group of friends that we weren't really prom people. And I had friends in all different high schools. So I was more likely to go to Lockport's prom than I was probably my own high school's prom. Maybe even Stag's. Like I probably could even go into Stag's prom if I want. Anyway, point is this. I didn't like prom. I didn't like the whole idea. I was one of those 80s kids. I didn't like prom, was going to join a frat when I got into college. You know what I mean? I was just very, very whatever. Perfectly made for the whole coming of the grunge attitude. The whole like, man, it's all over. But prom weekend was last weekend, and it coincided with a teen takeover. And here, I want you to see this video here. This is from downtown Chicago. Now, there's only a couple of people who are still dressed for prom. Everybody else looks like they stripped out of their suits. I almost called them, just because that's like a general term for something that's uncomfortable. But then I realized, I'm like, I can't refer to it as that because these are black people, even though my intent wasn't at all racist. But to call them monkey suits and then show a whole bunch of black kids fighting on the street would probably be taken the wrong way, or at the worst could be intentionally manipulated to make it seem like I said something that I didn't. Anyway, a bunch of these prom kids probably stripped out of the prom suits. And but one of the dudes is still out there swinging hands. Here we go. And my question is, what happened to prom? Yes. Like there in the park. Wait, do you see? Hold on. There's one big one coming. Does she still have prom shoes on, or is that just how she's going? I don't know. Oh, look at this. Okay, right here. This dude walked right into a dude mid-swing. Crazy. All right, watch the dude in the red. There he is. Oh! Where's a guy in a prom suit? All right. All right. There you have. That's a sort of a combination teen takeover prom night 2026. So, prom nights, I don't, we would all go downtown. No, I mean, I don't even have, that's not a memory I even directly associate with prom night, the going downtown and stuff. Oh my God. Was I participating in teen takeovers and we didn't even know because we weren't calling it anything? It was just, anyway, prom, I remember just partying. Like I remember like post prom was just like, you'd go somewhere. So parents, is this something parents would do now? Because I honestly can't imagine doing it. But it was perfectly common in 1986, 87, 88, 89, whatever. It was perfectly common for 17-year-olds after prom to just go to somebody's lake house in Michigan or Indiana or Wisconsin and then just spend 3 days. Just prom, bye kids, with the pictures and the limo and the suits. And then you didn't see these damn kids for 3 days. There weren't cell phones either. It's not like text me when you get there. Parents, what the fuck? Seriously, because I've got a 17-year-old kid now in 2026. And even though I know I was raised in an area time when that was allowed, I mean, I'm telling you, this is a thing. We used to go away for days at a time at like 17. And I just can't imagine me as a parent allowing that to happen. 17, 18, 18, you start to get into a different kind of situation because they are adults. And maybe that is just the point where the parent has to go, oh my God, he's technically 18, but he makes decisions like a 12-year-old, right? You know that as a parent, but maybe that's the line of demarcation. Anyway, most kids don't graduate high school at 18, do they? Or are they just turning 18? Or are they 17? Whatever. I don't know. I just know that we had very few. Well, isn't that that's sort of the Gen X cliche that we had no guardrails. But specifically when it comes to like the way we were just set loose, just totally set loose on the world at like 16, 17. We couldn't wait to drive. The roads were filled with 16-year-olds driving cars. Today, there's no 16-year-olds driving cars. 16-year-olds are in the back of Ubers getting carted around everywhere. Anyway, we would have never had a fight. We would have never fought after. Prom is not a time to fight, man. We're all in a good mood. You're not hanging out with people from other high schools. You are specifically only with your friend group from your high school. I don't know. But it did strike me that, because I'm watching this, I was watching that video and you see the kids running around. And of course, because I'm an old white man, I was like, where are these kids' parents? Right. That's my instant thought. And that was immediately followed by, well, where the hell were mine? Now that we are, what? I don't know. I don't know why it changed. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. I'm just pointing out that it's different. Yeah. Live femtard. That is, of course, Maddie. That is not how I remember my proms going. No, we didn't get proms were fun, man. Proms were like, I mean, that might be how other rando Friday nights when every high school in Chicago would head towards the lakefront to drink beer and try and hide from the cops. I mean, you have thousands and thousands of kids doing that. There're going to be fights, but that was not a prom vibe. Like fighting is not anyway. And I don't, you know what? That dude, he wasn't in a fighting vibe either. Let's be fair. He's still in his prom suit. He don't want to be fighting anybody. He's slipping on those sidewalks in those dancing shoes he's got on. He doesn't want to be there. Mike graduated high school at I graduated high school and started college at 17. Late birthday. I got a summer birthday. So, I would have graduated high school at 17. So I guess I just think like, you know what I don't remember? I don't remember 18 being that necessarily of a big age marker. when I was a kid. Like when I was 17 and some of my friends who are months older than me, when I was like 17 and my friends would turn 18, there wasn't like, oh, they're an adult now and I'm still just it wasn't that. 16 was huge. 16 huge because your driver's license. All right, now you can drive. You are a little bit higher up than me, right? I'm 15 still. You're 16, you're driving. So there, 18, no, what, vote? Register for the selective service? No. 21 was big. Suddenly when you were 19, you needed to have a 21-year-old friend. Remember that? Remember, you would hang around with the biggest dork in the neighborhood as long as he had a driver's license that said he was 21 when you were 18 or 19. You're like, hey man, why are we hanging out with this dude? He's like, he eats his boogers. He's like, yeah, but he's 21. He can buy booze. Just fucking buck up, Buttercup. My God, are we partying or not? That's how it used to be, and we had no parents overseeing any of that. All right, let's see. So what happened to prom? There you go. We answered. Answered? Not answered. We don't know. We're going to leave that up in the air. It's prom. It's such an old school thing. My kid went to my kid's going to be a senior. He's gone to like 3 dances in 3 years. I didn't go to many dances, honestly, in 4 years, but it was different. In the 80s, we were like, they were like, that's gay. There was like very much that kind of vibe about that kind of stuff. That's gay. That's dorks. Hey, douchebag. Like, remember you'd see those 80s movies where all the kids would be going in and they're dressed up and they're going into the dance. And then there's like, Judd Nelson on the hood of a car going, what's up, faggot? That's kind of how the vibe was. So I didn't go to many dances. Neither did my kid. All right, let's get into the world. The world as we know it. Iran. Hey, did you see the war broke out again yesterday and nobody's talking about it? So we're just going to move on. Apparently Iran bombed a bunch of United States military bases. Iran. So I guess this is how it started. I don't know, because who do we believe? Do I believe the Iranian government's version of events, or do I believe the Americans' version of events? I would like to have that be a no-brainer. I would like to go back to a time when I'm like, well, what are we saying? Those guys can't be trusted. But, I don't have any trust in our institutions anymore. So whatever it is that we're saying from our side has as much credibility as whatever it is that they're saying from their side. Anyway, best I can figure, there was a boat that was granted access through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, who would grant that boat access under the current situation in the strait? That would be Iran. So this was a boat under the protection of Iran. Americans attacked that boat. Okay, Americans went nope or seized it or whatever. I don't know. I'm just telling you where the aggression and the counter-aggression and all that started. So Iran, because, they're telling the world they're in charge of the strait. And so if they give a ship permission to go through and then the Americans just board it and seize everything, that ain't good. So Iran felt that was an act of aggression. So Iran retaliated. Then America retaliated. And then Iran started targeting bases in Kuwait. And that was going on for about 10 hours yesterday. Don't know what's happening now. Like I say, there are plenty of other places that you can go to fight. But, ceasefire or not, the war was full blown yesterday at like 5 o'clock. Just in time for evening news. All right. Let's see. What else do we have? What's another? Well, here. Okay. So this is a really big deal. We won't spend a whole lot of time on it because it's serious and I'm not that smart. But I am smart enough to understand that gold overtaking U.S. Treasury bonds as the default sort of money that the world counts on is a really bad thing. It happened momentarily back in 1996 for a whole bunch of weird reasons. But ever since then, here's how do you explain it? So you have like a rainy day fund. All right. This is a dumb guy way of explaining what this is all about. So, you have a rainy day fund. Well, just imagine all the countries of the world also have a rainy day fund where they put this money, right? So what they used to do with this rainy day fund was they used to buy U.S. Treasury bonds because U.S. Treasury bonds were always considered to be the safest investment in the world. Nothing was going to stop the all-powerful and all-respected United States. The Treasury of the United States, are you insane? You think that that's going to go away? You think that that's a bad place for us to put all of our... So that's the way it always was. That's what made the United States one of the most influential and powerful nation states this world has ever known. I mean, we are a true global superpower. It was based almost entirely on, okay, nukes, yeah, big defense, but also the economic aspects here. So the world has now shifted. What is the number here? Let me see. Was it like 47? Let me read this to you. For decades, if a foreign government like Japan, Poland, or India wanted to save money safely, they bought U.S. Did we get knocked off again? No, we didn't. Okay. For decades, if a foreign government like Japan, Poland, India wanted to save money safely, they bought U.S. Treasury bonds, which are essentially IOUs from the United States government. It was widely considered the safest financial asset on earth. All right. So as of yesterday, I guess, gold is now that. Gold has officially overtaken U.S. Treasury bonds as the primary reserve asset held by central banks worldwide. The European Central Bank, the ECB, gold now accounts for 27% of global official reserves, while U.S. Treasuries have slipped to 27 to 22. Okay. Let's keep going with this story. It says, due to massive price surges with gold exploding through 2025 and 2026 to trading well over $4,500 an ounce, and aggressive buying by foreign nations, the total value of gold has now reached roughly $4 trillion, edging past $3.9 trillion held in U.S. bonds. So a country, instead of going to America and saying, we've got all this money and we want to make sure it's safe. So instead of going to America and saying, give me the equivalent in treasury bonds, we're going to invest in the United States because we know that you guys are always going to be, the leaders. So instead of doing that, now they're just going, let's buy gold, and they're stockpiling gold. Gold is the thing. Having gold in their reserves is now a better and safer bet for the survival of their nation than trusting in the United States. That's really the big story here. It's just, I don't know that's going to affect the price of gas at the pump. Probably. Everything will. Everything does. There's like a terrible mosquito outbreak somewhere. It'll be like, gas is going up 5 cents because of the mosquitoes in Argentina. And we'll all be like, yeah, that's why. So I don't know. But anyway, that was pretty big news yesterday, and you can hear about it. A lot smarter people than me can explain to you more minutely what all that means. But I mean, people don't trust America anymore. The other countries are like, yeah, look at the deficit. Look at these pieces of paper called U.S. Treasury bonds are basically worthless. I want gold. Gold. It was also how we were able to keep peace in the world. All these countries. Oh, also, here's another thing. I heard a guy this morning talking about this when I was watching it on CNBC. A guy said, look, here's another reason why these countries aren't buying American treasuries and opting instead to just buy gold and stockpile it in their reserves. Here's why. They saw what the United States government did to Putin. Russia, they had a whole bunch of U.S. treasuries. And as soon as the Ukraine war started, we've froze all their assets. And so there are countries now looking at the current state of the United States presidency, and they're going, if we do anything that pisses him off, he could just freeze all our treasuries. He could. That's a very real problem that didn't exist with other people. All right. Let's see. Do we have somebody? Al? Is Al in on this? Hold on. Here we go. Al says it won't be long before the Chinese yuan is going to be the standard monetary unit instead of the U.S. dollar. Well, I mean, look, you're right. I mean, I don't know if you're right or not. I'm just a dumb guy. You work in the business. You know more than me, okay? But people have been saying stuff like that forever, but it really does to me, to my big dumb middle class eyes, working class eyes, I do think it feels like shit's getting worse than it ever has before, money wise. And maybe not for people who are doing well. Maybe if you got one of these jobs making 150 grand a year, got a nice house in the suburbs, maybe you're doing well. I don't know how long you'll have that job. I don't know what the status of your industry is, but my God, say anything like my industry, broadcasting, woo, it's going to come fast for you. So we've seen the shift in the petrodollars because of the situation here. Now gold. Now we're back into gold. The world is back into gold and off of essentially trusting the United States to make everything right. Al says, what sucks, or what really sucks for us and for the company I work for, I'm guessing. Sorry for the company I work for. There you go. All right, no worries. For the company I work for, which makes the currency Inc. Maddie says, bricks quietly loading in the back. Yeah. That's the Brazilian. That's the group of all the bad guy countries that are like, hey, if we pulled our shit together, we could be bigger than them. Make America great again. All right, let's see. What else are we going to talk about here today? Let's get into the 60 Minutes story. I like the 60 Minutes story is interesting because it's, there has been, I've noticed for at least the last 10 years, a real serious war for information, a serious war for getting base journalism. What do we accept as base journalism? What do we, the who, what, when, where, how, and why? Who are we accepting this from? When information is deemed crucial, again, deemed, right? Who's deeming it? Well, there have always been gatekeepers. There have always been, from the moment the printing press was invented, and there was an ability to create 1,000 copies of a single message to be disseminated. Whoever owned that printing press was the gatekeeper, okay? He was in charge of what the message was. So there have always been gatekeepers. In the early days of Americanism, let's call it, we had some really bad shit going on with our early journalism. Yellow journalism, what's the famous, you send me the picture, I'll provide the war, right? There doesn't really need to be an actual war. I control the press. You send me a terrible picture and I'll take it out of context and get people whipped up thinking we need to go to war, right? That was the yellow journalism era. But after that came a real solid, built upon integrity, built upon ethics movement in American journalism. It was the era of the Edward R. Murrows, right? The Walter Cronkites, but we give these people the credit. Look, I'm a big Murrow guy, so I don't want to get into it with you about Murrow, but Murrow was kind of the gold standard of what we need. Murrow understood that information, not information with a little bit of attitude on it, or not information with a smirk, but information as smart people, a lot of information out there. So who decides? Information that is held among people, gatekeepers, and in his case, his team. Information is to be based in ethics and following the who, what, when, where, how, and why. Okay, that's the real basic thing of journalism. There is now how I feel about it in who, what, when, where, how, and why. And we had years of what I think is pretty solid journalism in America. I mean, whether you're talking about the coverage of the war in Europe and Hitler and all of that kind of stuff. And then, you had the 60s with the Vietnam. I mean, the media really did sort of, the Vietnam War was a really bad thing. I mean, I don't think that's disputed by anybody. We should have never been involved in that. Whoever is responsible for it, whether you want to go back to Kennedy, whether you want to go back to Eisenhower, whether you want to go back to the results of the Korean War that led to us into that area in the first place, you can. You can blame Nixon. It doesn't matter. It was just a big national mistake, and we all know that now. And it was journalism in this country that made that known. by embedding people in with the troops in Vietnam. Anyway, there was a time when the gatekeeper system and journalists could work hand in hand. Now, I don't know how that, well, actually, I do know how that got perverted. I tell you all the time. It's when Fred Silverman took over at ABC and decided that news bureaus within networks did not need to be loss leaders. The idea was that every network would have a news division, and the news division wasn't expected to make any money because the news division existed because we're allowed to use the public airwaves. That's the FCC's deal. The FCC tells companies, private broadcasters, fine, you can use the public airwaves to make your money, but you're going to dedicate it a certain amount of time to public information. You are going to serve the community as well as just make your crazy sitcoms or whatever. So that's what the news divisions were for like the first 40 years. They weren't supposed to make money. Walter Cronkite probably made like 80 grand a year. Then you got Michael Strahan making 25 million. News guys weren't rock stars. They weren't highly paid celebrities, right? And then Fred Silverman came around. I think he took over ABC, and he took a look, and he looked at how he could make more money for the parent company, and he saw the news division, and he asked the question, why is it that we don't make money with the news division? You know, we probably could. And he came up with a concept for the news magazine. 2020 was the first example of it. And infotainment was born, ladies and gentlemen. And every network followed suit. And since that time, every network, the gatekeepers, have decided that making money and getting ratings is the most important thing when it comes to informing the public about what they need to know. That's broken. Talked about it a lot. That's broken. So along comes this last 20 years. Now we have the do-it-yourselfer. We have the ability to create our own newsrooms and broadcast them, stream them to the internet. It's not broadcasting. A lot of people, smart ones with good money, they can replicate a truly authentic looking news organization with absolutely none of the credibility. Got rid of the gatekeepers. Now it's just free form information from whomever we want to trust. I like that guy. I'm going to trust that guy. Comes the situation with 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes is one of the cornerstones of American journalism, one of the great last holdouts. And I will say this, the thing about 60 Minutes, and it's interesting as to why they would target such a longstanding American institution, and who is they? Well, I'll get to that. The interesting thing about 60 Minutes is that 60 Minutes' entire brand has been taking down con men, taking down people who are trying to get one over on us regular working class American people. That has always been the 60 Minutes brand. Don Hewitt, Mike Wallace, all through the ages, even this most recent guy who was fired last week, or woman, I guess, who was fired last week. No, it was the guy who retired like 2 years ago. 60 Minutes has been in turmoil for a number of years. And it's concerning to anybody who has watched the implosion of American news media over the past 15 years as closely as me. I mean, I'm a news junkie. I've seen the implosion. To see what is happening to 60 Minutes is unbelievable. So what is happening to 60 Minutes? Well, 60 Minutes is a part of CBS, which is a part of Paramount, which is a part of Skydance, which is a part of the Ellison tech monolith or whatever, okay? So you got Larry Ellison, one of the wealthiest people in the world, really good friends with Donald Trump. He wants to, get his kid out of the house. So David Ellison, who is the scion, that's what they call him, the tech scion. David Ellison started a company called Skydance, and he wanted to go and take over Hollywood. But then, then he decided that no, he doesn't want to take over Hollywood. That maybe getting involved, he does want to take over Hollywood because Skydance features is still a thing, but he expanded even more with the Ellison money into network TV. Bought CBS, bought Paramount, bought Paramount. People in the beginning said that the whole reason he is buying Paramount is so that he can control CBS News for his buddy Donald Trump, which I think is a little bit conspiracy. I think that's more of like gravy on it. I think they legitimately want the platform strength that comes with, Paramount and CBS and Showtime and all the huge CBS collection. It's worth more, I think, to a guy who's only interested in making money than just controlling the news division, which has seen dwindling ratings consistently over the last 20 years. That is a depreciating asset. But they'll have you believe that this whole thing is because David Ellison is doing his daddy's bidding and helping out his daddy's friend, the president, by silencing CBS News, which has been a consistent critic of the president. Okay. And again, I point out, it is 60 Minutes who throughout time. If Donald Trump wasn't president and he was just a dude, Donald Trump, doing shady shit, it would have been 60 Minutes who knocked on his door that made him shit his pants. It would have been. That's CBS's brand, or that's 60 Minutes brand. They go after the bad guy for us. And basically, they're being dismantled before our very eyes. Now, here's what's happening. So David Ellison, he took over CBS News, right? Well, Paramount Skydance. CBS News is a part of it. So CBS News is now controlled by a parent company who is very friendly with the MAGA White House, Larry Ellison. So they appoint the head of CBS News, Barry Weiss. Barry Weiss, who is she's a young, well, she's not young, she's younger than me. I remember when she was 20, and I'm like, who is this kid? Barry Weiss is very smart, very New York, Zionist. I don't know. I'm not saying that like it's a good thing or a bad thing, but that is her stated position, that she is a very pro-Israel, very pro. She's also kind of progressive on a lot of stuff. But anyway, she seems to be somebody who is not necessarily bought and paid for by Israel, but somebody who is drinking the Israeli Kool-Aid. She is a Jewish woman from she is from the synagogue. I don't know what they call them. We call them parishes in Catholic Church, but she's from the synagogue in Pittsburgh that was, attacked a number of years ago. She's a very devoutly faithful and pro-Israel voice who's now totally in charge of CBS News. And there have been problems over the times. She has been criticized since taking over CBS a couple of years ago, or maybe about a year and a half now. Was it because, when did the guy who replaced Don Hewitt at 60 Minutes walk away in a huff? I think that was 2 years ago. Anyway, she has shelved a bunch of stories. One by one, 60 Minutes was almost like a standalone entity inside CBS. 60 Minutes has been one of the most powerful news programs in America for 50 years. Nobody fucks with 60 Minutes. And now all of a sudden, they start fucking with 60 Minutes. There was a story. Well, here, let me get into it, okay? All right, 60 Minutes, big changes. Scott Pelley has been fired, which, by the way, I love, and we'll get into that. Not that I love that he's been fired, but I love that we're firing people again. I love the no bullshit of we're firing people. Usually it's Scott has decided to resign and step away. No, I got fired. New management. This is Scott Pelley's message. Okay. Scott Pelley, longtime 60 Minutes correspondent, posted this. New management has instructed me to inject falsehoods and bias into a politically sensitive story. I've been told to include assertions that are unverified. To date, in every case, I have managed to ignore these instructions or refuse them. Recently, politicians have been invited to choose correspondents for interviews on the broadcast. That's wild. That is wild. It's not just him saying that. This has been reported. That is not something that's allowed to happen. A politician, who, by the way, if a politician is sitting down with 60 Minutes, it typically means that politician is definitely in the middle of a news cycle. So for that politician to then be able to choose the person who will be asking questions, that's not how good journalism is done. You don't make sure that the situation is as friendly but that's just not how it's done. That's how super wealthy people who don't want to be questioned and just want to offer the veneer of some kind of transparency, that's how they would prefer it. But my God. Okay, so recently politicians have been invited to choose correspondents for interviews on broadcast. Giving politicians control over 60-minute interviews is not how this is done here. Scott Pelley says, finally, incompetence and unprofessionalism in the new management have wreaked havoc. In a case involving one of my stories, the entire program came within 19 minutes of not getting on the air at all. All right, there's Scott Pelley. Let me give you some of the background here. I think 60 Minutes has really benefited over the years from NFL football. Let's be honest about that. I mean, it's one of the most relevant TV shows in America because everybody watches the late game on CBS for years, and it was always coming up after the game. Andy Rooney on rutabagas. Why do some people call them turnips? 60 Minutes after the game, and then they go back to the game. That's how it was for like 50 years. All right. CBS News fires Scott Pelley of 60 Minutes. Mr. Pelley, this is coming to us from the New York Times, so it's Mr. Pelley, a former CBS Evening News anchor, was ousted after months of tensions between staff and Barry Weiss, the network's editor-in-chief. CBS News fired Scott Pelley on Tuesday, jettisoning one of the network's best-known journalists in a clash over future of 60 Minutes. Mr. Pelley, 68, a 60 Minutes correspondent and former anchor of the CBS Evening News, joined the network all the way back in 1989. At a staff meeting on Monday, he accused the network's editor-in-chief, Barry Weiss, of murdering 60 Minutes, citing the ouster of last week of program leadership team and 2 on-air correspondents. All right, so on Monday, they're having their 60 Minutes, first of the week. Let's all get together. They are bringing in a brand new executive producer because they have fired the executive producer of 60 Minutes who had served in that post for just a couple of years. But they fired her unceremoniously last week, and they had replaced him with somebody, or that person. They'd replaced the executive producer with a new executive producer who has 0 experience in TV, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing because whatever TV is or was isn't relevant for what it could be next. So maybe you don't need somebody with that, but I did Dateline for 20 years, and now I'm doing 60 Minutes. No, maybe that's kind of the idea behind this. Let's get rid of all of these people who are settled in the ways of how TV used to be done because it is a radically different medium now. Anyway, so Scott Pelley sitting in this meeting on as one of the senior 60-minute correspondents. Scott Pelley gets up in the meeting and says, let me get it again right here. He accuses the network boss, Barry Weiss, of murdering 60 Minutes. He then cites the ouster last week of the program's leadership team and 2 on-air correspondents. They, in response, 60 Minutes, yesterday released this statement. Nick Bilton, who is the new executive producer of 60 Minutes, released this statement. It says, "We have parted ways with Scott Pelley." Nick Bilton, the tech journalist who was hired last week as the new 60 Minutes EP, wrote in a memo to the show staff on Tuesday. CBS News has declined to comment, but in a formal letter to Mr. Pelley, which was obtained by the New York Times, Mr. Bilton wrote that the correspondent had been terminated for cause effective immediately. So CBS hasn't officially said any of this, but CBS sent a letter to Scott Pelley, and the New York Times is saying, we've acquired a copy of that letter. I wonder who gave it to you. It came from Scott Pelley. Mr. Pelley, in a telephone interview later on Tuesday evening, shortly after he was fired, said that he had devoted decades of his life to 60 Minutes, which he said he still cared about deeply. Quoting him now, "I've been in combat in Afghanistan. I've been in combat in Iraq. I've been in the war zones in Ukraine multiple times, risking my life and the happiness of my family because of my devotion to the broadcast." The firing of Mr. Pelley is among the most consequential moves of Miss Weiss's rocky tenure at CBS, and it's almost certain to spike tensions that have coursed through the network for months. It also raises the stakes of Mrs. Weiss. Basically, here's what's going on, okay? So a lot of journalists inside CBS believe that Barry Weiss is carrying water for Israeli causes and also editing and stopping stories that would be detrimental to either the Trumps or the tech industry. What's happening now? I'm just throwing it out there. That's why everybody's buzzing about it. Scott Pelley, I do love that, I hope that Scott Pelley said, you got to fire me. You got to fire me. I'm going to say what I'm not going to resign. I'm going to resign. You're going to fire me. You're going to fire me, and then I'm going to sue you, and then you're going to settle for a much larger settlement than whatever it is you're going to offer me if I resign. I love that we're through the looking glass now, because it used to be for everyone involved. We're going to give you a nice little parting gift. We're going to give you this, and we're just going to have you resign. You're going to say you resign. You're going to say you stepped away for whatever reason. That was bullshit. The lies are gone. Now we're just firing people. And of course we are. We've got a president whose catchphrase is, you're fired. You're fired. Is Leslie Stahl next? This is the big story. Apparently we're all on Leslie Stahl watch. She's expected to walk away from 60 Minutes either today or at some point in the next week or two. We don't know, but we're on Leslie Stahl watch. She's 84 years old. She's been there forever. She's been there so long. She was once the hot young chick. Hey, did you see that new Leslie Stahl? It's 1975 and she's sexy. Anyway, she's 84 years old. And people are acting, people in journal. If we lose Leslie Stahl, I'm like, bitch, she's 84. Should have been preparing for this for like 15 years. She does have a good reason to walk away, though. So here's the deal. So Leslie Stahl and her team at 60 Minutes had been working for weeks on putting together an interview with Netanyahu. Leslie Stahl's team had done the legwork. They had flown there. 60 Minutes had paid for it all, right? Because you got the expense accounts. So the production team for Leslie Stahl, they were getting this Benjamin Netanyahu interview. Well, as I mentioned earlier, you see, Barry Weiss is very close with the Israelis. She's the woman running CBS News, very close with the Israelis. And when Barry Weiss heard that Leslie Stahl's 60 Minutes team were trying to get an interview with Benjamin Netanyahu, Barry Weiss picked up the phone, called Benji, and said, hey, you want to do an interview on 60 Minutes? And then Barry assigned the interviewer. And basically word got down to Leslie Stahl and her staff, and they're like, wait, what? They can't do that. We're working. What? Here's the deal. They can do that, but they're certainly not supposed to. That's like a really bad, that's like, they took the story that Leslie and her team had been working on and were going to handle in the way that they felt matched what the brand of 60 Minutes required, and fearing that it could go bad for Netanyahu, Barry Weiss swooped in and said, no, just you can get credit for doing the 60 Minute sit down, but I'm now going to choose the person who interviews. And, a lot of people are like, oh, and that's why it wasn't a good interview. Well, it aired on Sunday. It was a fine interview. There was no fireworks really from the interview, and that's because she chose Major Garrett to do the sit down. There's nothing wrong with Major Garrett. Major Garrett, oh, we worked for Fox. Oh, please, man. He was a Pentagon, right? Pentagon correspondent. That's not political. Major Garrett is not a political guy. He's not overtly right. He's not overtly left. He's just kind of a news guy. Leslie Stahl, however, over the years has been accused of being decidedly, left-leaning. So those are just all of the facts. Yes, I think it's highly inappropriate for somebody in management to cut in front of a team of producers who are trying to put together a very timely and very important interview with the leader of Israel, who is waging war on the world right now, apparently. And it's just inappropriate. You don't do that. Anyway, that's what's happening there. So Leslie Stahl may walk away as well. I've seen some pretty funny AI mock-ups. Actually, I thought I saved it and I was going to show it to you here, but I don't have it. So if anybody finds this, somebody did an AI fake 60 Minutes coming up on 60 Minutes. Like the ones that we see where it's always like, like Leslie Stahl, Scott Pelley, Anderson Cooper, Elizabeth Vargas, right? And they do all of their stories. So there was an AI one that was 60 minutes. Tick, 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 tick. And it was Joe Rogan, Chud the Builder, uh, who's Charlie Kirk's wife. Anyway, it was very funny. It was like what 60 Minutes is about to become. All right. So whatever. Who watches six? Again, we don't. We're allowed now in 2026 to choose a la carte whatever news source we deem to be appropriate. And I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily healthy if we're just choosing the stuff that we agree with. I love this news site. They have the best stories. I don't know if that's how we're supposed to be ingesting information. I don't know if every story we consume is supposed to be making us feel a certain way. Don't know about that. I think most of the stories that we consume are supposed to just be stored somewhere for knowledge, just things that we know. And when we're just out, I always say this with my kid. I think this whole generation of Gen Z, I think, again, canary in the coal mine stuff, I think they're going to be real boring adults. I think they're going to have very limited interests. And you know why? I've said this a lot, because the way we grew up, the way that millennials and the way Gen Z or Gen Xers, the way we grew up was we had to watch stuff that we would never have chosen on our own. And we enjoyed it. We realized that there was shit that we like. Kids today, they will only choose the cartoon that they like. I like this cartoon. I was watching Rich Man, Poor Man at 7 years old. They got no shit before they had any understanding about, demographics and when people are watching TV. ABC, or the local ABC network here in Chicago, at 3:00 in the afternoon every day would play a movie, and it was like not adult movies by today, but like grown-up subject matter. It was like Rich Man, Poor Man. I watched the miniseries Rich Man, Poor Man at like 7 years old on ABC or WLS locally at like 3:00 in the afternoon after school. Now, all you need to do is just go read about Rich Man, Poor Man. Here's what I promise you. It is content that I, as a 7-year-old, if given a whole bunch of choices, would never have chosen to watch. But I did. And that's how I knew about the complicated nature of grown-up relationships by the time I was 10. Because Rich Man, Poor Man. But mommy, why is he kissing her? He's married to, say, conversations. This is how we were raised. My kid will just sit there and just scroll through YouTube and just look for shit that appeals to him. That can't be good. Can't be good. Or can it? I don't know. Maybe that's better. Maybe that's the better way. Maybe life is all just one big game. It's all a construct. And if we choose to go through life believing whatever the hell we want to believe and it makes us happy, that's how we survive. Maybe that's the secret sauce. They're called breaking the matrix. All right, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this guy. Where is he from? Kentucky? Hold on. Who's that? What's his name? Randy Ogles? Hey, who's the retard congressman who said something about gay people don't belong? That's how I ask questions to AI. Andy Ogles. AI knew immediately. Oh, the retard? Yeah, that's Andy Ogles of Tennessee. He posted, it's Pride Week, Pride Month. Sorry, don't want to. So Andy Ogles, who is a proud MAGA, he's one of yours. Like if you really consider yourself MAGA, he's one of your. This is one of yours. This idiot, this moron. So he posted, because the absolute worst people on the right are like happy family values month, right? The only reason that they're pushing, isn't that what it's called? Nuclear family month, whatever it is. It's just to gin you stupids up. The people who are pushing this, they don't really, they just know that, how do we excite the stupids? Well, it's Pride Month, and they're probably going to be really pissed off at Target commercials. So let's give them an alternative and tell them that they can call it nuclear family, like the worst people, like that gay guy, Benny Johnson. He's gay. If you can't tell that he's a closet case, well, it explains why you vote for Trump. You people don't know what you're looking at. Anyway, he's a closet case, and he's out. Hold on. Oh, man. Wait a second. What do you mean? I'm gonna have to check on that. All right, AT&T is like, this is your final reminder. I'm like, bitch, bill is paid. That's a final reminder for what? All right, so I'm gonna have to get into that. Where was I? Oh yeah, Ogles. Okay, so anyway, Ogles is a representative of the United States Congress, and he tweeted out that there's no place in America for gays. Now he did it because it's Pride Month, and he did it because he's trying to gin up the stupids. He did it because he was trolling, and look, there are so many levels of things that we could talk about why this whole situation is disappointing, not the least of which is that, again, another member of the United States Congress who thinks that trolling is the way to do the job of representing the people of his district. But okay, if his people are fucking inbred morons, and they very well may be, this might be the way he decided he can serve his people best. All right. No, is he like, yeah, the people in my district, they're all like holler people. You know what holler people are here in Tennessee? Yeah, there's no helping them. All I can do to keep them liking me is just say shit that gets them crazy. Because I represent a whole bunch of holler people. People married to their like nephews and shit. So this inbred MAGA whatever guy from Tennessee, who, by the way, has said really shitty things to stir up the holler people who votes for him. He said a whole bunch of shitty things in the past. He put out yesterday on Twitter that there's no place in America for gays. Happy Nuclear Family Month, whatever. Okay. We've seen this from trolls, but rare is it that we have to be like, oh my God, this guy is actually in fucking Congress. So there is like a series of tragic events that could happen where this guy would suddenly wake up president. Where is this guy in the order? Like, what if he was the designated survivor for the only time when that designation means anything? That would suck. All right, so he tweeted it. Notice I'm going to keep saying that. He tweeted it. But it was a miscalculation. I don't know if he was feeling himself. I don't know if he's day drinking. Here. He said a staffer did it. Okay. We know this isn't true. A staffer didn't do that. Certainly a staffer didn't do that. If a staffer did do that, the staffer did it because it was well understood in the congressional office of Andy Ogles that kind of provocative trolling is encouraged, right? It was, a staffer didn't go, well, I don't know about this one, and then you put it out. No. So, first of all, let's stop with the bullshit. He's from Tennessee. He doesn't have a massive staff. He's not an important congressman. Again, all he does is gin up his stupid holler people. Doesn't have this massive staff. He did it himself. And he said, of course, he blamed it on a staffer who he said that staffer's been punished. No, what did he say? It was a really non-satisfying reprimanded. That staffer has been reprimanded. I'm like, oh, so name him and fire him. Oh, not going to do that. I think everybody deserves this. There is no staffer. All right, there is no staffer. Problem is, he put it out there and everybody hammered him. Everybody high up in MAGA, all the other Republican GOP people, they all fucking hammered him. And all the Democrats hammered him. And his phone probably blew up with people who he theoretically thinks are on his side going, what the fuck are you doing, man? Have you met Scott Bessent? Do you think you are helping the MAGA cause by fucking Trump doesn't care about gays? Trump's cool with gays. He's from New York society scene. Gays are all over the New York society scene. Anyway. All right. So he fucked up and he blamed it on an assistant because all of these people are gutless pricks. And then he said, I love this. He tried to explain it. And this is just such bullshit. He said, so it's the middle of the day and I'm out there working the farm and my phone starts blowing up. Okay, you get it. That was his excuse. He's like, I didn't do it. The staffer did it. But he started his, explanation, which, by the way, he never apologized or anything. He didn't say it was ugly. I think he said that they were hurtful or it was a hurtful message, but he never said we apologize or it's whatever. I don't need that. He's not going to apologize. You don't like gays. It's obvious he doesn't like gays. It's fine. What we do know is that he's a coward and that he's willing to, throw a peasant in front of the wheel As long as, people will. I was on the farm. What? No, I was working the farm, he says. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He was at his country club at 12:30 in the afternoon. He had probably just shot 18 holes. He's in the clubhouse. He's drinking. He's having a big Cobb salad and he's pounding them back. And his friends are there and they're having fun. And he just starts tweeting some bullshit because one of the TVs got what? MSNBC on. And he sees some pride shit. And he's there in his golf shirt. And he's like, ain't no place in America. Ain't no place. That's what he was doing. This motherfucker wasn't working a farm, and yet he has the gall. I was out there working the farm. You were at a fucking country club. I don't know it, but I know it. All right. Okay. Yeah, here you go. I'm going to my man here, or whoever, okay, no. No, I know knows better anymore. Anyone with such an extreme perspective must like dick himself. All right, I appreciate it. I do. I appreciate what you're saying there. But no, I don't think he's gay. He's not. He's just one of these people. He doesn't care. Like this Randy Ogles guy, he would totally go into bit. Like if Elon Musk was gay and Elon Musk was like, I want to go into bed, he would totally be totally okay with gay. It's just that he's a very small man who has a very small job where he governs a bunch of inbred freaks who live in hollers. And he knows that the only way that he can have job security so that he can continue to go and be this con man, this corrupt, he's been investigated for all kinds of things. He's making a whole he's one of these under the table deal guys there. He loves being in Washington. But how does he get any clout in Washington? Well, he's got to be elected by the holler people. So he keeps going back home with his fucking pinky ring and his shades and his $10,000 suit. Have you seen this guy? Have you seen the people he represents? This guy's an obvious grifter, and the holler people love him because he says shit like he tweeted yesterday. Oh, excuse me. No, he said shit like he tweeted his assistant tweeted yesterday. All right, here's Mike Lawler. Mike Lawler is another Republican, although he's a New York Republican. And New York Republicans who sometimes caucus with the MAGA ideas, they got to be a little bit different than the Tennessee ones. So let me show you here. Pull this up. This is a Mike TMZ. By the way, remember we told you the story? TMZ, they had opened up a Washington, D.C. office and they were going to start treating Congress people like celebrities, hey, what do you think of this? Just stopping them on the street. Yeah. Well, they're doing it, and we've got another example of it. It's a terrible idea, by the way. The celebration of our elected representatives, like they're a finalist on American Idol, giving them that kind of treatment, chasing them down the street, making them feel celebrated, that can't be good for governance. That's not going to attract the best people. That's going to attract people who have no talent but still want to be famous. So they're treating, I don't know. I'm going to have a we'll see how it plays out. Let's see how it plays out. And then I'll give you an opinion on whether or not TMZ going to Washington, D.C. and giving D.C. politicians the Hollywood treatment is a good thing or a bad thing. Anyway, here's Mike Lawler. He was confronted by TMZ, D.C. Mike Lawler, a Republican congressman, being asked, "What do you think of what do you think of the Ogles guy?"
Hey, Congressman. So your colleague Andy Ogles today wrote on Twitter that homosexuality has no place in America. Agree or disagree?
Disagree, and strongly. The fact is, Andy has, I'm sure, family, friends, neighbors, colleagues, constituents who are in fact gay or lesbian, and that doesn't make them any less worthy of being an American. And frankly, I just think he's a idiot for saying that.
Well, I mean, those are pretty strong words, considering that he's a colleague of yours. I mean, are you going to talk to him about it? Do you think anyone on your side of the party is going to say something to him, given that it's created such a reaction?
I'll say something to him when I see him.
What are you going to say?
just what I just said.
That he's an effing idiot?
Yeah. The fact is, look, we can have policy disagreements. People can argue about different issues, but America is built on freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the freedom to be who you are. And there's a reality of life that we're not all created the same. And so, yes, there are gay people in America. And the idea that somehow they shouldn't exist or they shouldn't be here is frankly outrageous and insulting to so many people. So to me, that was just a extremely idiotic statement on his part, and he should most certainly apologize for making.
Should he be reprimanded by your party, do you think?
Look, I'll leave it to leadership. The fact is, from my standpoint, it's just an idiotic statement.
I know you think he's an idiot for saying it, but do you want someone like that in your party? I mean, given your reaction to it?
Look, people obviously have very strong views. A lot of people's views are rooted in their religious beliefs, and they're entitled to their religious beliefs. But from my vantage point, the idea that somebody shouldn't be an American or shouldn't be here in America, when you see what goes on in other parts of the world where gay people are thrown off buildings.
Okay, all right, there we go. That's Representative Michael Lawler, Republican from New York. As I say, I wrote in a New York Republican, even one that is adjacent to MAGA, although he's not, full-blown, but he's, Oh, hold on. Sorry, I want to make sure I'm on the right page. There you go. So I wanted to play that one because it was long, and it was an example of how somebody within Randy Ogle's own party is an example of somebody within his own party has zero problem with just going, he's a fucking idiot. That is not how we feel. That is not how anybody normal feels. I mean, that's basically just what someone in his own party just said. Now, again, I don't want to wade into waters that I had trouble with on Monday, but we do have the Rangers conversation coming up. So do allow me this moment here. You might say to me, based on my contention on Monday, that I think that there has been a corporate interest overtaking of the whole idea of pride. Right? The Pride Month is a moneymaker now. And the way it continues to be a moneymaker for these interests that have built these institutions exist because gay people in society are put upon, right? So that was kind of my whole argument, that I don't think that's the case anymore, that I do not think that gay people in America are in the same sort of category as, certainly not what Jews are currently. No, nothing like that. Still blacks, Arabs, and any other kind of immigrants, right? I do not consider a gay and out and proud and living their life among us gay American to be in the same category. But the whole idea behind Pride Month seems to me, and again, I could be wrong, but it seems to me to be built upon the idea that they still are marginalized in all this. Now, you might see the Randy Ogles posting this yesterday as an example of how I'm wrong. You can post that and go, see, Pugs? See? Do you see? It's still not. And I would turn it around on you, and I would say the response to Randy Ogles proves my point, that everybody across the board, even in his own party, was like, dude, shut up. You're stupid. Okay? He did it a year ago. He said the exact same thing about Muslims. Randy Ogles posted a year ago that there was no place in America for Muslims, which is interesting because it was the same kind of verbiage. And you're wondering, oh, how long has the assistant that supposedly did the one yesterday been with him? Because they seem to text the same way. Anyway, he did the same thing about Muslims a year ago. Let me say anything. No, other people within his party, when he said there's no place in America for Islam, Randy Ogle said that, look it up. When he said that, nobody in his own party, I mean, we saw everybody from, Well, we watched Mike Lawler. We saw Ted Cruz. They're all people from all over, the women, all over the Republican Party chimed in yesterday. That's why Randy Ogle's response was, oh shit, I fucked up. And he deleted it. And then he blamed it on a staffer. The response to him is proof of what I said, because, especially when you understand that he said the exact same thing a year ago about Muslims and nobody had a problem with it. He was like, the Muslims, there's no place in America for them, and no, crickets, no condemnation. No, can you believe what he said? I mean, I'm sure MSNBC or probably CNN did a story on it, but it wasn't like his fellow Republicans were spending 3 minutes with a reporter talking about what a, quote, fucking idiot he is. So it is different. The minute he turned on gays, all of us went, what? That's a bridge too far. Not that I don't think the Muslim comment is a bridge too far. I do. I certainly do. But we do have an instance here with this guy, Randy Ogles, where over the course of a year, he's made 2 tweets. One said there's no place in America for Muslims, and nobody had a problem with that, suggesting that a lot of people agreed. And then just yesterday, he did the exact same tweet with there is no place in America for gays, and everybody fucking freaked out. So when I try to make the case that being gay is no longer a card, a stamped card for the persecuted minority class, I'm not saying it to being mean. I'm saying it to say, look, we have really come a long way from the time we couldn't stand to look at Ellen on TV because she was gay to the time that we venerated her as one of the most popular daytime talk and advice givers and just, Auntie Ellen, right? We changed. So when somebody like me points out that there now seems to be an industry keeping alive the myth that gay men and women and LGBT are persecuted, I push back. That's all. That's all I was saying. And thankfully, the entire world just turned to Randy Ogles yesterday and went, you're a fucking moron. Okay. Here's what I want to do. I want to take a quick break. Okay. I want to get a hot cup of coffee. And when we come back, we got a whole bunch of other things that we're going to get into today. We've got we're going to talk about some local stories there in Texas. We're going to talk about the Dallas Stars, where they're moving. We're going to talk about dude, the dominoes are falling. So, I mean, what is Neiman Marcus doing? Are they getting out in front of the closing? Is Neiman Marcus? Oh my God, Neiman Marcus is closing up their flagship downtown Dallas shop. What's that going to be? Downtown Dallas is so cool, but it's just going to die. There was like a 3-year period. And I just happened to live inside the window of the 3-year period. There's a 3-year period where downtown Dallas was kind of on the upswing. There was a lot of private investment. There was cranes in the air and there were big plans and all that. All of that shit failed. But over the 3 years that I was there, I kind of enjoyed the street festivals and all that. None of that happens anymore. None of that happens. Downtown Dallas, really sad. Anyway, we'll talk about the Neiman Marcus. We'll talk about the Stars moving. We're going to talk about Ranger problems, right? Rangers are embroiled in this big Pride Month controversy. It's an own goal, and I think I've got an idea on how they can fix it. So I'll share that with you and a whole bunch more. All right. So just do this. Give me a quick break. Give me about 5 minutes. I'm going to go to the restroom because I drink coffee nonstop. Let me go to the restroom. I'm going to give myself a fresh coffee and then we'll come back and we'll finish up the rest of the show. I want to remind you today's show is brought to us by Peter. I almost said Peter, and then the other thing, but I'm not going to do that because my God, he probably has had to endure that his entire life. He doesn't need that from me. Thank you, Peter. Peter was the big tipper of yesterday's show. Today's show is brought to us by Peter. You can drop a little something in the Venmo or the Cash App. Help us out. We do exist exclusively on your tips, so please help out if you can. I'm going to take a quick break, come back. We're going to do all that stuff that I mentioned and probably a whole lot more. We are back after this. right. We're back. All right, very good. Let's see here. One more reminder. Peter is our executive producer. Thank you so much to Peter. You can join Peter and support this show by dropping a little something at any point. Let's see, we went through the Ogles thing. We went through, here's what we got to talk about, the California elections. So the California elections were held last night. Primary elections, governor and LA mayor. So all of this hype about the LA mayor thing, nothing was decided last night, apparently. It's Karen Bass, who is the incumbent mayor of Los Angeles. She is a former congresswoman who is the incumbent mayor. She is also a black woman who is a Democrat. So you know what her brand is, or at least the brand that has been, amplified all over social media. Black woman congressman, say no more. Let's vote for the reality guy who was a complete cocksmoke, but now we think could be, the mayor of one of the largest cities in the world. Let's do that. We're all so stupid. Spencer Pratt has no business. His house burnt down. That's it. That's the qualification to be the fucking mayor of Los. Now, I don't know that this Karen Bass has a. Here's what I do know. She was a congresswoman. Here's what I do know. She's been kind of, matriculating through this whole thing her whole life. She's a politician. Now, I know there was a couple of years ago where we were like, maybe we shouldn't elect politicians. Maybe we should just elect a regular guy. And, just an endless cavalcade of Marjorie Taylor Greens and Lorena Boberts and AOCs have kind of proven that maybe we ought to look for a law degree or somebody that's accomplished something before we decide to give them power in the United States House of Representatives. How about that? Anyway, she's a legitimate politician. She's running a very big city. She hasn't ran it into the ground. Well, I don't know. Well, maybe she has. Have you seen the homeless zombies? No, I ain't been to LA in a long time. But every time I go to LA, I've always had a good time. So I don't know. Anyway, point is this. She might be a terrible mayor. I am not advocating for her. What I am saying is, if you're giving me the choice between somebody who's done it now for 4 years and the guy who was the villain on the hills, the fuck is wrong with you people? Anybody could do it. No, anybody can be famous. And that's what he wants to be. Because one of the things that come along with being the mayor of Los Angeles is that you get to be famous. Guess what? Spencer Pratt ain't been famous in years. No, and he really liked it too. It was cool when you remember how obnoxious this fucker was back when he was 22, 23, 24? I do. And I don't give a shit that maybe you've fallen on hard times because your house burnt down. You had like a $5 million house, dude, off being a jerk off on a reality series. And now here you are, a representative of a whole bunch of people who lost shit in those fires. And you think it just drives me nuts. So, of course, anything that stupid has to be somehow tangentially endorsed by Trump because he likes anything stupid. So that's his guy. And now Spencer Pratt, who, anyway, we went through this whole shit. We went through this for weeks and weeks, months even. Karen Bass, Spencer Pratt, Karen Bass, Spencer Pratt. And then they had the primary election yesterday, and it's going to be 5 more months of Karen Bass and Spencer Pratt. They got her. It's a runoff. Nobody got 50%. Here's the problem, though. This is the problem for Spencer Pratt. But here's going to keep this a news story now all summer long, which means that this jackass Spencer Pratt is going to be able to legally raise as much money as he wants. He's going to be able to stir up the stupidest people. He's going to have a crazy war chest. He's going to spend about 1/10 of it, and he's going to bank the rest when he loses. We really thought he was going to win. He doesn't have a fucking chance in hell of winning, especially now in a runoff between two. The only reason that he kept pace with it is because the person in third place is even more liberal than Karen Bass. The woman in third place who's got like 20% of the share. She's people that are voting for her are voting for her because Karen Bass ain't liberal enough. You think those people are going to vote for the bad guy from the hills? No. And we all know this now. We see how this is going to shake out. And it's going to be 5 more months of pretending like this guy can win when in fact he can't, but he's going to stop him from fundraising because being a failed politician in a populist climate is now a career. It's something you can do. You don't have to win. James Tallarico could lose the Senate. Well, I think he's going to win, but he could absolutely lose the Senate and emerge more powerful nationally as a contender. Professional politicians, I am certainly not comparing James Tallarico to Spencer Pratt. Okay. One of them seems to be a serious person who is, I'm not doing it. All right. So now let's move on to the governor. The governor, this guy, Steve Hilton, right? So this guy, Steve Hilton, okay. So when I first heard Steve Hilton was running for governor of California, I'm like, oh, Paris is dead, right? That's totally tracks for Los Angeles. They like their celebrities. I could see, because in the Hilton family, like all the Hilton daughters got famous. Although, what do you guys remember? This is one of those I'm old enough to remember. I'm old enough to remember when there were 2 Hilton daughters. Yeah. I'm old enough to remember when it was, wait, which one is Paris and which one is Christy? Which one? That's how old I am. Yeah, there were 2 of them at a time. And then one of them was, I guess Paris did like some sleazy sex tape and the other one was like, I'm out. I'm going to be the one that carries the Hilton name with dignity. So I'm out. And then Paris, became Paris Hilton. But Paris became famous. Christy became famous. Apparently, they've got a brother. I don't know. Let's call him Alan. Alan Hilton Jr. He's kind of famous, I guess, in some way. All right, his name ain't Alan. I don't know what his name is, but it's something. Barron. Barron? Yes. Yeah, it's Barron Hilton. That is fucking exactly what it is. It's Barron Hilton. And Mom got famous. Mom was on one of the Real Housewives shows. So my thinking was the Steve Hilton guy, this must be dad. This must be dad finally going, I'm going to cash in on the Hilton name. Turns out it's not. Turns out this Steve Hilton guy, who apparently has received the most votes in the primary yesterday, the Steve Hilton guy is a British dude. He's like a MAGA British dude. He's like up there. I heard him. He was giving his acceptance speech. He's like, oh, I'm so proud to be an American, mate. I'm like, what? What is happening? What? Here's what America's doing wrong, mate. It's a bloody mess. I'm like, wait, who? So I look into this guy, and he's like a right-wing rabble rouser. Let me tell you something, guys. This is just, again, me. I like to think I can judge people sight unseen pretty good. And for those of you who think, well, you only seem to do it you only seem to be able to do it with Republicans. No, it's just because they're just the most obvious these days, because it's the Republicans who are leaning most obviously into populist issues. So it makes it easier. But anyone will tell you, hell, my late partner, Kelly Moore Memorial Studios, she will tell you, I told you from the beginning that Beto was a loser. She loved Beto. She's like, I love him. I don't know how you can be like that, Bugs. I'm like, this guy ain't legit. Look at him. You can't tell. So I'm pretty good. I could spot it on both sides. But here's one of the ways that I've always been able to, and this, I called this the late night infomercial. Epiphany, I guess. Yeah, it's the late night infomercial epiphany. So at some point in the 1990s, late night infomercials that would sell you garbage, like it's the Chop-O-Matic, like that whole thing. At some point in the 90s, all the dudes in the late night infomercials had Australian or English accents. Just all of a sudden, it was just English guys and they're trying to sell us. And I made the determination. I'm like, oh, anytime you hear a guy with an English voice talking to an American audience, that means they're trying to trick us, because most stupid Americans think that anyone with a British accent is smarter than them. They're like, oh, this guy's smart. He's British. Couldn't really. The Australians, however, the Australians in the pitch market, they had a whole different thing. They could still confuse the stupids, because stupids are like, that sounds British. That sounds smart. But also Australians are more conniving. Well, Australians are more willing to go harder with the bullshit than I think maybe a Brit guy would be. Anyway, Never trust people presenting themselves to an American accent with a British or an Australian accent. Just don't do it. I always think that they're trying to work something. And this Steve Hilton guy, I'm like, really? Okay. He's like, so proud to be an American, mate. I'm like, oh. So I wish him luck. He apparently now he's going to run against some Democrat guy who was right behind him, I guess. I don't know. I don't care. It's California. Again, why do we care? It's California. I am actually more interested in the LA mayoral's race because of the inclusion of the guy from the Hills. That's the only reason I'm interested in that. So there you have it. California. Absolutely nothing was decided. We're now going to have 5 more months of this shit where it's going to be Karen Bass versus the guy from the Hills. Hey, have we seen? I haven't seen his wife. Wasn't his wife like a big old hoe? Wasn't that her thing? They're like, weren't they like a real slutty couple? Like, weren't they a real promiscuous couple? But I'm trying to remember because this guy is now going around like, yeah, I'm a Republican, family values and whatnot. And I'm like, you were like really bad back in the day. Do I have that wrong? Look, I hope I never watched The Hills or anything like that because I always thought it was like stupid, whatever. So I never watched it, but I dated girls who watched it, right? So I was aware of like the whole, like I never watched Sex in the City, but I've been around enough women who watched it. And so I have a cultural awareness of it. So I have a cultural awareness of The Hills. I know that my quarterback for a number of years, Jay Cutler, was married to somebody from that mess, Lauren Conrad. But wasn't she the good one? Wasn't there like a good one? Wasn't like Lauren Conrad like initially the good one? But then like Heidi and Spencer were bad. They were bad. And now they've rebranded as like good old-fashioned family value, which only reinforces my belief that anybody that comes at you presenting themselves as the epitome of what an American should be, family values, Jesus, I'm perfect, all of that, anybody, that's bullshit, man. That is bullshit. That lacks total authenticity because nobody is the embodiment of all of those things that we've been led to believe means you're an American. Nobody is. We all got a gay cousin. So, that kind of shoots the whole, we hate gay. We all got somebody in our family who's a junkie. We all got problems, money. Well, some of us don't have money problems. All right, now I'm rambling. Hey, I'm looking at a story here, which I think is really funny. So we got the UFC fight coming up on the White House lawn this weekend. Me and my kid will watch that. I'm sure we'll have a lot of conversations about what we're looking at. My kid's coming on Saturday. So they've erected this, on what was, I guess, what was that called? Is that the South Lawn? Is that it used to be this big, beautiful lawn in years past? I mean, that's where they used to land Air Force One. That's where they used to land Marine One, right? And the president would wave and there'd be a robot. I don't know. It looked very nice. It looked like, Augusta National Golf Course. It was it was nice. It was elegant. It was an American. Now we got like a big UFC cage. They paved over. They cemented. They made like a patio, like a smoker's patio at a Qdoba. Did I say that right? Is that the name of that place? There's a fast food place that only exists in major city downtown buildings. And I think it's Mexican. It's called like Qdoba. It's like got a Q and something. I don't know. You only see it in New York, LA, and Chicago attached to big downtown office buildings. It's the only place they exist. I've never been in a suburb and seen, there's a Qdoba drive-through. Never seen it. That used to also be the case with Panera Breads, but now there's Panera Breads everywhere. Now Paneras are everywhere. But anyway, so now it's like a smoker's patio out there on what used to be our beautiful, and they built a UFC cage for this event that's going on Sunday. Well, I like mixed martial arts, right? I'm not a fan of the UFC. I think the UFC has gotten really boring. Not a fan of the UFC, but I am a fan of mixed martial arts, so I'm watching the fights. It's not a good look, man. It's just, again, it's not a good look. And let me put it to you this way. Oh, here's the headline. Here's the story. Breaking ABC News. President Trump is floating the possibility of keeping the UFC arena on the White House South Lawn, built for a series of fights on his birthday and Flag Day permanently, according to ABC News. This is the problem. This is why we have a homeowners association. Yes, okay. You show up at the homeowners meeting and you want to put the big bounce house on your lawn for your kid's 10th birthday. We're fine with that. Here you go. You put the bounce house. And then they leave the bounce house. You know what? I'm going to keep the bounce house in my front yard. And everybody in the neighborhood goes nuts. Well, in this situation, we are the people in the neighborhood. This is stupid. And I can't even, but this isn't real. This isn't real. You know what this is? This is ABC legitimately reporting something the president said. ABC is not lying. I promise you, the president is floating the idea of keeping it. Now, the question becomes, because we know this president, when this president says stuff like that, unlike other presidents who we hung on their every word and, based our future on what he said, this president likes to fuck with people. This president says shit. So let me tell you, this president, here's how this went down. And ABC isn't incorrectly reporting. They're just reporting verbatim what the president says. The caveat for all of us is that we know that this president doesn't mean what he says. So, president is going, he's like, did you see that? That's pretty great, isn't it? Oh my God, they put that up. It's the greatest stage they've ever seen. People are saying it's the greatest thing. Thinking about keeping it. Why not keep it, right? It's probably how he said it. He ain't keeping this fucking thing. There is no way we're going to let him keep this thing on the White House lawn. No, Mr. President, you can't have the bounce house. Can't keep the bounce house forever. It's already a problem. Could you imagine in 2015? Imagine you're in a comedy club in 2015. And President Trump he's come down the elevator. He's running, he's running, right? So all the comics and all that, they're working on their current events material for 2015. And the guy's like, did you see Trump's going to be in the White House, blah, blah, blah. You know what's a Trump presidency going to look like? What are we going to end up with, a UFC cage on the South Lawn? It's 2015. I'm a current events comic. That would have been a joke. The whole president, but it's been normalized. That's not a joke now. Why? Because he just did it. And people went, that's fucking weird. Well, I guess it's a thing now. Normalized. It's normal. But in 2015, that would have been a joke. That would have been a joke. That would have been such an absurd premise that the president of the United States would build a UFC cage. It's 2015. I'm a comic. I'm a comic for the future, actually. You fuckers have no idea what the next 10 years are going to bring you. It's going to be crazy. We're going to have a pandemic. There's going to be wars in places that you didn't even know were volatile. I'm a comic. It's 2015. All right. Let's see. Moving on. How about this? Here. Yeah, I'll show you this. This is a video. This is a video I want to show you. Wait a second. It's the New York Post. They're going to make us see an ad. Yeah, they're going to make us watch an ad here. And then, of course, there is the relentless pop-ups that come with any story that you take from the New York Post. The New York Post sucks. They have really good stories, and they give you the most flamboyant details of stories because they don't care. They don't care. They know. Right here. Let me show you. All right, here we go. Let me take you to North Carolina. Okay. Lean Hijaz. Lean Hijaz is the Clayton High School valedictorian. That's the smartest kid in the school. That's the chick who, as I said earlier, she wasn't getting well, no. I almost just never mind. She was studying. She did what was expected of her as a young woman in a high school. She crushed it. And she's named valedictorian. And one of the things that comes with being valedictorian is the opportunity to stand up in front of the school and tell everybody what you think is going on. You can't take that away from them. They earned it. They earned it. What are you teaching them about the world? You can't. So this girl, this valedictorian in North Carolina, remember, we're free speech, right? North Carolina, free speech, freedom. Texas is about freedom. Texas has no freedom. The people in Texas are brainwashed into thinking they have freedom. Yeah, I'm going to keep saying that until you people smarten up and realize you should have legal weed. You should have legalized gambling. Women should have the right to choose. And you know what? Let's just say it. Prostitution. Why not? It's Texas. prostitution, the industry that North Texas was built on. That's right. Look at the history of Frisco. Did you know that? Did you know that there were more brothels per capita in Frisco in 1890 than anywhere else in the world? Well, I don't know how they would. Who was the pervert who did that study in 1890? I've been to all, Blister McBlistery. He's got like, sores all over him. I've been to every brothel in the world. Anyway, that's fun. Frisco used to be a big old hoe ground. Frisky, getting frisky in Frisco. That's what it used to say on the water towers. They didn't have water towers back then, but if they did. All right. So North Carolina high school valedictorian, it says here, she hijacked her graduation speech to rant against Israel and ICE. Now, again, she earned it, man. You got to sit there and take it. This is the person that you put through, matriculated through your school system, and you are now offering her up to the rest of us as an example of the best and the brightest. And as a reward, you have given her the microphone and are going to let her talk. Let's see what she's all about. We built her. We're really proud. Here you go. And as soon as she starts saying anything that they don't like she starts getting into some stuff, they rush up and they take the microphone away from her. Anyway, let's watch this. I think it's pretty funny. She's a ballsy girl, man. I would be so proud if she was my daughter. Even if I was like a North Carolina Bubba who disagreed with everything that my smart little daughter believed, I would still be like, nah, that was ballsy. Anyway, here we go. This is her in North Carolina. Look at her. She's a pretty girl, too. She's pretty. She probably got the whole world by the balls, man. She don't care. She can't wait to get the fuck out of North Carolina.
Students, staff, families, honored guests, and most importantly, Clayton High School's class of 2026. My name is Lean Hijaz, and it's my honor to welcome you all to this important milestone as we celebrate our hard work, growth, and success. Tonight is more than just a ceremony. It's a reflection of years of effort, growth, memories, and determination. Every graduate here has faced and overcame challenges, learned lessons, and worked hard for this one shared moment. While one chapter is coming to an end, a new one is just beginning. As we look around tonight,
she knows, she's smart. She knows that she's tagging her speech with something. And there are certain people in the crowd who know it's coming. And that's what she's doing here. She's like, yeah. She's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. There we go. Keep going. She's cute.
we see friends, teachers, and families who have all contributed to our journey here in C-Town. Behind every diploma is hard work, sacrifice, and perseverance. Even as we move on to different paths, whether it's college, trade school, the military, or even a gap year, part of us will always remain here as comments. To my fellow graduates, be proud of yourselves. The future may feel uncertain at times, but remember that success is not measured solely on achievement.
She's starting to rush. She's getting nervous.
But by your ability to face and overcome hardship. Don't be afraid to take chances, learn from mistakes, and keep growing into the people that you dream of becoming. As we celebrate, let's take a moment to thank our parents, guardians, teachers, coaches, and loved ones who stood by us through everything.
Right.
We truly couldn't be here without their unconditional love and support. Class of 2026, this is our moment. Let's move forward with confidence, ambition, and hope for the future. Before I leave the stage, I have one last thing to say. Every single person here has a voice, and we are privileged to have the freedom to use it when so many people around the world are struggling and
what is this? What's this girl doing? Is this girl like, what is she about to do? What is she? Hold on. Man, this girl's dad has a red MAGA hat. You just know it. Look at that. Where's this guy going? This guy's like, okay.
Here has a voice, and we are privileged to have the freedom to use it when so many people around the world are struggling and suffering.
Looking around, she's like, is anybody going to stop her from saying stuff about people who are struggling?
Struggling and they're suffering to be heard. Whether it's the millions suffering in Palestine today,
she's like, is somebody going to stop her?
And Congo, Afghanistan, and so many other countries around the world, these are the families being torn apart by ICE. These are not distant issues. They are happening right now as I speak. My point is, we're not giving a voice to
Okay, now this is where it gets problematic. She's like, my point is, and the principal of the school rushes up and silences her. I promise you, one of the main things this principal probably wanted in a president was somebody that wasn't going to infringe on their First Amendment right to free speech. Free speech. Oh, free speech. Free speech. We're in North Carolina. Free speech. This fucking girl earned this opportunity. And this dumb Karen bitch who's got herself a job as a principal is running up to silence her. We've got to be tough enough to listen to people who have opinions that differ from ours. Silencing them is exactly one thing that I thought we all agreed on. I thought we were all in league that in America, you're allowed to have opinions. This fucking girl earned this, and this principal is bum rushing her because what she's saying isn't something they want to hear. Even though we heard an audible outburst from the audience supporting her, that's when the principal got up. She's like, uh-oh, this is how the monkeys rise up. Anyway, let's see. Let's watch this again, see where it starts.
Families being torn apart by ICE. These are not distant issues. They are happening right now as I speak. My point is, we're not given a voice to stay silent and to just
I love the way she's like, all right, I'm not a real troublemaker. Whatever, they told me I can't. And she waves. She's cute. Good for her. If I was her parent, I'd be so proud of her.
These are the families being torn apart by ICE. These are not distant issues. They are happening right now as I speak.
Woo.
My point is, we're not given a voice to stay silent and to just
Oh, think about, darling. All right. That better be included in her college transcripts. There better be that video when she's trying to get into all these elite schools. She better show off the fact that she was a leader. That's pretty good. But of course, you're not allowed to have opinions. Even though she earned it, she checked every box. She is the valedictorian. She gets this moment up here on stage to say whatever the hell she wants. She's earned it. And they tried to take it away from her. They did. They silenced her. She didn't even get to finish. My point is, what? Oh, fuck. That's kind of how it ended. Freedom. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Stars. So the Dallas Stars, yesterday we were talking about the Mavericks. The Mavericks moved to North Dallas, right there, 635 in Preston, Valley View Mall, which an area that I'm very familiar with. North Dallas area. I mean, how many bar appearances did I do up in that area? And, I dated a girl who lived in an apartment right there by Valley View. Pretty sketchy, pretty cool part of town. Cool. There's something weird that happens in North Dallas, right? On 635, let's say between the tollway and 75. So if you're on 635 between the tollway and 75, it's kind of it's like sketchier than it should be. I think because of what you have there with the entertainment district that stretches all along and straddles the tollway there on Beltline, and the neighborhoods, the real sort of all American family suburban neighborhoods that sort of dot that area. The fact that the part of town there that used to be anchored by Valley View has just fallen into such a weird. It's a sketchy neighborhood that doesn't seem to match the opportunity and the promise of its surrounding neighborhood. So the idea that the Dallas Mavericks are going to take over this plot of land, Valley View there, and they're going to build a new stadium, and they're going to build an NBA stadium and all that comes with it when these teams own their own stadiums. The entertainment district, I'm sure that there will now be a seamless connection there between whatever grows up in and around the new stadium district there and Beltline Road and all of that stuff. It's a wonderful part of town. And I know, it straddles North Dallas and Addison and all that, but it's a wonderful part of town. And the fact that the Dallas Mavericks figured out a way to continue to maintain in good standing a Dallas address is awesome. And that's what we should all be happy about. What I am confused about is the American Airlines Center, as I talked about yesterday down there in Victory Plaza. It is beautiful. It is a beautiful part of Dallas, downtown Dallas. Problem is that nobody goes there, and they don't go there because of the reason that I stated yesterday. They built something for the elites. They built something exclusive. They built something so that they could wring every bit of dollar out of people that will pay for fucking things that make them feel elite, right? That's what the idea was when Cuban and Hicks and all those people developed. They wanted to play to the Highland Park crowd. They wanted to play to the moneyed Frisco crowd who would come down the tollway and spend $3,000 on their night at the Mavericks game, right? That's what it was done for. It was a mistake. It was a mistake at a time when I don't know. It seemed like everything in the country was moving in that direction, and everything in this country seems to have been moved in that direction over the past 15, 20 years. Everything seems to be for the elites. Nothing is for us, the working class. And that is why I sit and I look at the mistake of the American Airlines Center in Victory Plaza and I laugh. I see it as a victory for the working class, because you know where the working class does go? Valley View, that area, Richardson, Plano, Addison, Flower Mound, whatever, that area, North Dallas, the people who live in the neighborhoods of North Dallas, that will now be an entertainment district that isn't exclusively priced for the elite who can come down and have drinks at the W. Well, I've gotten my VIP velvet roped, VIP room table at Ghost Bar after the Mavs play the Charlotte, whatever they're called now. That's what that whole scene was designed for, and it failed miserably. And whereas I am saddened to see such a beautiful part of town, those buildings are all brand new. Think about all of those gorgeous glass structures, those condos, theoretically office buildings, everything that sprung up around the American Airlines Center over the past 25 years, and just realize that they're just going to be abandoned, that nothing, there is no anchor in that community without having the Stars and the Mavericks. So what are they going to do with that building? I asked yesterday when the Mavericks left. Is it just going to be the Stars? Well, no. Stars are out too. I guess we knew that. We knew that this was a whole big thing. Now, what they're going to do with the property there, who knows? Bass Pro Shop. I've seen that AI thing where it's the American Airlines Center with a big Bass Pro Shop sign on it. I've seen the one, what's the Halloween store, whatever that is. I've seen that, whatever that's, been used before. So anyway, that's going to be a really pretty ghost town. I don't know what's going to happen down there. I don't know. Ugh. So the Stars have announced where they're moving to. Now, the Stars didn't do it as well as the Mavericks. The Stars have moved closer to where the moneyed hockey audience is, because the hockey audience isn't the working class audience the way NBA is, the way Major League Baseball is, even the way football is. Football crosses all boundaries. Hockey is an elitist white person sport. So what they've done, the Stars, is they haven't kept their Dallas address in good standing. They've decided they're going to move to Plano, and they're going to take down another dilapidated mall area. It's the Willow Bend Mall area right off the tollway. So you're going to have two brand new arenas, which, and are they not? Look, if they build two brand new arenas and don't tear down the American Airlines Center, how the hell does Dallas not get an Olympics? You know what? Are they setting the table for a Dallas Olympics? Because seriously, having that many venues, most major American cities don't have two venues for their hockey and their basketball teams. Most major American cities have one venue and they share it. Dallas is going to have one for each plus the old stadium. Nah, they'll probably do something with that. What are they going to do with that space? Concerts? There ain't that many concerts. There ain't that many people that can sell 20,000 seats. Anyway. All right, so they're moving to Willow Bend, which is a much different tactic than the Dallas Mavericks took. The Dallas Mavericks stayed in Dallas. They're moving to a dilapidated mall in an area that could really use the economic benefit. The Stars ain't doing that. Stars are taking over the Willow Bend Mall, which is a mall that failed because they found out that people don't buy Gucci jackets every week. I mean, Willow Bend, you ever been to Willow Bend? It's like, who the fuck shops here? Super elite, super expensive. I mean, every fancy store under the sun with like a 5,000% markup on the same damn thing you could buy down the tollway at the Galleria. You could find that stuff in Willow Bend. It was a garbage bullshit. Let's see how much rich people will pay for JCPenney merchandise mall. That's what it was. And yeah, it went out of business because it was stupid. Because even rich people at some point went, I'm just going to go to the Galleria or Stonebriar, whichever. Willow Bend was a stupid mall in the middle of two far more superior malls. And so it failed. And now it's got this big plot of land up there off the tollway in one of the fanciest suburbs in all of this country. That area, West Plano, Hebron area, that area, man, what's Prestonwood, right? Prestonwood Baptist is out there. Have you seen the mansions that are back there? I mean, so what the Dallas Stars have decided to do was to make access to their games a lot more convenient for, rich white people who like hockey. Rich white people from New York and Boston who are moving to McKinney. You don't have to come downtown anymore because who the hell wants to come downtown? So I am not going to applaud the Stars in the same way that I'm going to applaud the Mavericks, because the Mavericks seems to have done a thing that was Dallas first. It seems to be a thing where they are really sort of solidifying themselves as the Dallas team. No other team plays in Dallas. It would have been absolutely horrible if all four of the major sports didn't play in the city that they were. And I guess Texas isn't, really the Dallas Rangers, but they are. Right? Sorry, St. Paul, but we all know that the Twins are the Minneapolis Twins. St. Paul's like a little, no. So, okay, so they're going up there by Willow Bend. So rich white people from Boston who have moved to the North Texas area can now enjoy hockey a little bit more conveniently. Nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's their business model. I'm sorry, but if you are the Dallas Stars, you recognize that people who are interested in hockey now, actually Texas, there's a bug here. The Dallas Stars were embraced quicker than almost any other, not expansion, but moved franchise that I've seen. And it was because they were good. See, I grew up back in the day when I used to still watch Blackhawks games. The Minnesota Timberwolves, look at me. The Minnesota North Stars, Dino Ciccarelli and all those sons of bitches, we hated them. They were like major rivals. And so I remember when the North Stars moved out of the division and then moved to Dallas and renamed the Stars. But they were good right away, right? So maybe that's why hockey took root so quickly in Dallas, a city that had never really... in Chicago, your hockey fans, they think like they're the top tier of hockey fans anywhere in the country because of Original Six bullshit, right? It's like, the only hockey cities are Chicago, Boston. And so there was sort of this fervent and loyal Dallas Stars base, but I don't know that it's as widespread as maybe hockey is in places like St. Louis, Chicago, or Detroit, Boston, Philadelphia, where generation after generation have passed down hockey in an allegiance to a team. Whereas in Dallas, that's never happened. We're on like third generation Stars fans, right? So that's good. That's a start. But yeah, no, Dallas embraced hockey, but it's not like... Here's the problem with hockey. People who embrace hockey are probably from somewhere that embraced hockey, and so they're carrying that love of the sport down to the new area, or they have children who participate in hockey. Now, if you have children who participate in hockey, and by the way, youth hockey is huge. Youth hockey seems to be the compromise. It's a weird compromise between not letting kids play football and not having them be weak little pussies. Like, it's sort of like moms are like, okay, you can't play football, but dad's like, how about hockey? And she's like, okay, even though I think hockey's even worse. Now they're just going at a much higher rate of speed because they're on skates. Now the collisions are just... Anyway, but hockey is very big among middle class and upper middle class Americans. Hockey's an expensive youth sport. It's probably the most expensive youth sport because unlike all the other youth sport, hockey has the built-in cost of ice time. Can't just go out in the field and practice anywhere. You have to actually book your time for your team or your all-star team or your youth league or whatever it is. You have to book it at one of the community ice rinks. Now, in places like Chicago, like when I was growing up, we had one indoor ice rink where you could go and you could skate in July, and that was kind of a thrill. It's like, it was Southwest Ice Arena. It was on the south side. Now, there are a couple other ones dotted around, but we were a hockey community, so we would be expected to have that. What shocked me about moving to Dallas was when I saw how diligently the Stars had gotten involved into spreading the gospel of hockey around the Metroplex. You guys, Dallas had way more indoor hockey arenas than any place I'd ever seen, and they're all branded with the Star Center. The Stars did that. The Stars made a real effort to come into the market and establish real solid roots. However, I don't think they ever cared about any demographic being hockey fans other than wealthy people. It's a wealthy sport. That's been a metric that has been applied to Gary Bettman over the years, that Gary Bettman, the commissioner of hockey, at some point made a decision that hockey was never going to be able to compete with baseball, football, and NFL. And what they needed to do was completely exploit the demographic that was their key and their core. And those are white people. Those are suburban white people. And it looks to me like the Stars are just leaning into that business model. They have moved closer up the tollway, closer to who they perceive to be the people most likely to attend their games and be fans of their team. They ain't moving to Oak Cliff. That's my point. All right, now, domino effects. I mean, I don't know what the hell kind of domino effects we could be talking about with downtown Dallas, because now that there's no American Airlines Center, I mean, honestly, what is the point of going downtown? Oh, yeah, Neiman Marcus. That's it. That was it. That beautiful, that gorgeous, that Neiman Marcus original flagship location right there in the middle of downtown Dallas was something to be proud of. I mean, that is we are a commercial. We are a buying at stores. We are a shopping culture. And Neiman Marcus, that store right there in downtown Dallas, is one of the most important players in that game. Or were anyway, years ago. They also made a choice to move into the high elite sort of demo. But they did that from the beginning. They were always considered pretty nice. But seriously, in like the 1980s and 90s, that's when Neiman Marcus really sort of turbocharged their "we're for rich people" kind of thing. But it didn't stop. Thousands and thousands of people throughout the Dallas Metroplex were coming downtown, and I know because I said I lived there for a few years, and it was one of the great things about living downtown in Dallas in Christmas. Wasn't going to look a whole lot like Christmas because you're in Texas. It's going to be 70 degrees and maybe rainy, but whatever, it's Christmas time and there's lights out, and Neiman Marcus knocked it out of the park with their whole Christmas display. It was the thing about living in downtown Dallas back then. Oh, they're turning the lights on. Let's go for the tree lighting. And that's gone. It's gone. Neiman Marcus has announced that they are leaving their downtown Dallas location. How many years has it been? Let me see. Oh, shit. Sorry, I just lost the page. Sorry. All right. Neiman Marcus downtown Dallas store to close for good. Now, I know that there's been a story that's been ongoing for a couple of years. There was a rent dispute, then that seemed to have been fixed, right? Wasn't that like a year ago where they're like, no, we got the rent situation fixed. And we all went, yay! Neiman Marcus stays. And now the American Airlines loses both their teams, and Neiman Marcus is like, we're getting the fuck out of here. We're going Stonebriar or wherever. A spokesman with Saks Global, that's the company who now runs Neiman Marcus, said the store will close on September 30th. Oh, do we have a local story? Hold on. Yeah, I'll always choose to go with the local store. Oh, yeah, let's watch a little. Okay. Hold on. That's weird. All right. Yeah, this comes to us from NBC5 in Dallas. Let's watch how they covered it. Again, the Neiman Marcus store, the flagship Neiman Marcus store down there. Nope, that's not it. There we go. Okay. All right. Here we are. That's right. All right, here we go. NBC5 covering the announcement of Neiman Marcus leaving its downtown location.
Marcus will officially close for good. There is breaking news in downtown Dallas this midday. Neiman Marcus will officially close for good. Saks Global, the company that owns Neiman's, confirmed to NBC5 about 30 minutes ago that the more than 100-year-old building will close. After back and forth with the city of Dallas for years, Saks Global says September 30th will be the last day. They plan to focus their resources to the location at North Park Center. Saks Global says that includes reimagining the iconic Zodiac Room that was a draw for many, including celebrities, to dine over the decades. And as far as the popular bridal salon in the building, Saks Global says it is committed to serving the brides that they already have through the time of closure. And they will service them after their closure over at North Park store.
All right. I don't know. Okay. So there you have it. So they're going to lean hard into their North Park location. That's, that's a piece of Dallas. Dallas is, that's a real important piece of Dallas culture, Dallas history, an iconic brand. Before I knew anything about Dallas, I knew about Neiman Marcus. Because we had one in Water Tower, and it was a really big deal. They're like, the fancy Dallas, Texas oil billionaires are opening up a store in the Water Tower. It was a big deal. There was something else I wanted to say. What was it? I don't know. It escapes me. The city of Dallas is dying. The city of Dallas, it is clear, is dying. The downtown, I don't know how it comes back. Affordable housing, I don't know what comes with that. The entertainment districts have all been moved out, whether you're going to go to Arlington, whether you're going to go up to Frisco and Grandscape or Addison. Nobody's going to Deep Ellum anymore. There's too many viral videos of shootouts. The city of Dallas is done. It's done. Comes word about the Metroplex. The city of Dallas isn't just the whole, it's the Metroplex. The Metroplex, there's a story out today that says the Metroplex could have 9 million people by 2030. 9 million people in the Metroplex. So what? Dallas is now falling. It's like, it's like the number 15 city in America now, and falling as people move. Where are they moving to? They're moving to McKinney and Allen and all around the Metroplex. Dallas is, the Metroplex. It's Fort Worth. It's Dallas. It's Arlington. And now it's, the north section. It is growing. It is growing, and really cool things are coming. New stadiums up north. Really cool things. But downtown, the city of Dallas is over. And if they are letting the downtown area go, if they are letting the Victory Plaza area go, Uptown will probably survive for a period of time simply because of the SMU Highland Park sort of, nature of that all. But they are letting downtown go. What does that mean for Fair Park? What does that mean for Oak Cliff? What does that mean for Trinity River? What does that mean for those Bishop Arts? What does that mean for the part of the city that is even further south than the part that they are obviously saying, we don't care about it anymore. Well, we care about North Dallas, and mostly we care about Frisco and Plano and servicing those people. Not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's the way it's changed. We've gone from living in these big urbans to exurbia, to making exurbia better than the downtown, and now the downtown's gone. All right. Speaking of more Texas things, let's get into the Texas Rangers situation, okay? Because this is we're in Pride Month, and the Texas Rangers of Major League Baseball, one of 30 teams in Major League Baseball, World Series champion a couple of years ago. The Texas Rangers are the only team in Major League Baseball that does not hold some form of a Pride Night, some kind of a Pride designation. Of course, June is Pride Month. I've talked about it. I'm an ally. Trust me. I mean, when it comes, I'm an ally, but I'm also just, I'm going to point out some things. I don't give a shit who you sleep with. I don't care. And if you do care, it's weird. Somebody in the chat room said earlier, we were talking about Randy Ogles, the Tennessee representative who posted yesterday on Twitter that there's no place in America for gay people. Somebody posted that, these Republican guys who are so stridently anti-gay, it's like they're all hiding something. Yeah, I mean, I do believe that is the case. And I don't know how we apply that to a specific political party other than, it seems that the right are the people who are, saying you're gay is bad, right? So whatever. But in regular life, I've kind of found that the people who are most homophobic are like the ones who I think are probably gay. And it's a projection of, and not gay, not like, oh, he's secretly having sex. But no, I'm talking about a guy who, like, when it's just him, when he's alone with his thoughts, he goes places that he's not comfortable publicly going with. There are a lot of dudes who are like that, who are okay. They don't act on it, and they're not gay because being gay's bad. They're that whole thing. But man, when they're alone, they're like, oh, I am kind of gay. And that's why they project it so loudly, so vociferously. I think thou doth protest too much. That's what it is. It's, I'm going to make it so that everybody knows without a doubt that I'm not jerking off to gay porn at night in my room. I'm going to make it so that people would think that's totally not possible. It's a manipulation. It's just the way that we interact with humans, right? Some people figure out ways to manipulate others. We project our absolute worst quality as being the thing that we are most offended by, because it's something that we hate about ourselves, and we would just be freaked out to no end if people were to discover this about us. So we over amplify how bad we think it is. I just want everybody to take note that I think being gay is bad, right? So that if there's ever anything that comes out about me, you're going to know that I'm the guy that hates it. So that can't be true. I do think that there's a bit of that. Because I think normal people, even here, I also think that this exists. I do think that there is a normal guy attitude that's like, that's fucking gross, right? But they don't hate people for making that choice. You can, people who are the problem are the people who simply despise a group of people for the sexual orientation they have. That's it. That's the problem. You're fucking gay, you're bad. I hate you. I would never hire a gay dude because a gay dude is bad. Those people are the problem. The dude that's like, fucking stop holding hands. Ugh. That guy's not really the problem, because that guy doesn't really care. That guy's not really going to be, like, if a street fight breaks out, he's not just going to join the side that's bashing gay skulls. He might actually have a moment where he's like, this is wrong. One side is just right. So we can be, guys and be like, I ain't gay. I wouldn't want to do that. That, first of all, just mere practice for a normal guy. What you would have to do to be a gay guy seems very uncomfortable to me. I'm like, no, fuck that. Exit, not an entrance. But leaving that doesn't mean that you think that you are better than another American citizen simply because you don't have that orientation. That's my point. They're not special. They're not infallible. A gay man is not above reproach because he's a gay man and a member of a persecuted minority. That's nonsense. If a gay man's an asshole, we are free in this country now to call people assholes, which is why I don't think gays are a persecuted minority. We have no problem being mean to dudes who also happen to be gay. We don't make it a deal. So the whole Pride Month thing, I've always felt, at least for a few years now, that it seems to be, they're pushing the issue. They are unnecessarily causing regular dudes who are not anti-gay to be like, oh, fuck, really? In my face again? I just feel that's unnecessary. So that's kind of my vibe on the whole thing. I believe that Pride Month has become an industry that is based on perpetrating the now lie that gay men and women, lesbians, are a persecuted minority in this country. That's my entire feeling on it. Now, let's get into the Texas Rangers. They are the only of 30 professional Major League Baseball teams. They are the only of 30 Major League Baseball teams that do not acknowledge any kind of pride celebration. They're the only team, 30 of them. They do not host an official LGBTQ Pride Night or formally recognize Gay Pride Month. The other 29 teams have incorporated designated Pride theme nights into their annual schedules. The Rangers have consistently opted out of the tradition. The origin, do we know the origin of this? Because it wasn't league mandated, and it organically started as a thing. Started in 2001 with the Chicago Cubs. I told you about Boys Town. Boys Town is our neighborhood. I guess in Dallas, you got the neighborhood, Oak Lawn District. In Chicago, it's Boys Town. And Boys Town is adjacent to Wrigley Field. And there's a lot of, just build a Venn diagram. You'll see. There's a lot of overlapping between Boys Town, Wrigley, and that whole area. And it's just a part of Chicago. It's one of the things that makes Chicago great. We are a city of neighborhoods. Everything's a little bit janky. It's cool. All right, so the Cubs in 2001, they were the first ones to do it. It says, where's the story here? Major League Baseball's Pride tradition began in 2001 with the Chicago Cubs. Then other franchises progressively adopted it over the next 2 decades. For years now, the Texas Rangers are the final holdouts. You know who else was Houston? it was the 2 Texas teams. They were like, we ain't inviting no fags to our ball game. So Houston was a holdout too, but I guess Houston in like 2023 or something, a couple of years ago. Where is it? I think I've got this written down some here. Houston Astros hosted their first Baseball is for Everyone official Pride Night in 2021, leaving the Rangers entirely alone in their stance. So the Rangers have been the only Major League Baseball team since 2020, 2021, right? 5 years. 5 years they've been the only team. They've made it weird. You can't be the last team. Houston fucked the Rangers again because now the Rangers are in a really weird position because, as I said, they made it weird. If there was like 3 teams, like if it was like the Texas Rangers, the Houston Astros, and let's be honest, the Atlanta Braves. Let's just say, although no way, man. There's like a huge gay scene in Atlanta. Atlanta would never have done that. Kansas City Royals. There you go. Let's just go with Kansas City. So let's say that the 3 holdouts are Kansas City, Houston, and the Rangers. So they got to be in communication, these 3 teams, because you got to all be on the same page. Because if 2 of them suddenly go, all right, we're just going to do Pride Night, that's not that big of a deal. It only becomes a big deal if you're the last one, which is where the Rangers find themselves now. So now when they switch, it's a massive deal with all kinds of attention and all kinds of blowback and all of the people that people think you've been trying to placate, the haters all these years. They'll be super generated, at least in the first 48 to 72 hours. They'll lose interest. They know it's a losing battle, but they will be super fucking turbocharged in the beginning. It's a mess. It is a mess. So what does the Texas Rangers do? Well, here, let me give you more information about the Rangers' stance, okay? I'm sure their stance has something to do with, baseball is for everybody. We don't feel the need to do a special night catering to a special group of people. But you do family and faith night. You do it multiple times a year. But that's different. That is a completely... The team's stance, the Rangers organization, has generally declined to elaborate on the specific political or religious reasons behind their decision. Instead, they've issued recurring standardized statements emphasizing universal inclusivity rather than targeted theme nights. Here's what they had to say most recently. Our longstanding commitment, this is the Texas Rangers, our longstanding commitment remains the same, to make everyone feel welcome and included in Ranger baseball. Well, you're failing terribly at that because you're the only team that isn't making it public that absolutely everyone is welcome. You're not explicitly coming out and saying we don't like gays, but the fact that you're the last team is just bad. And again, it goes back to what I was saying when we were talking about the Randy Ogles thing. Being gay in America isn't a big deal anymore. The fact that the Texas Rangers are still holding on to this, and they're the only team that doesn't acknowledge that a large portion of their fan base is and always has been gay people. The gay people don't like baseball. What? There are gay people that like everything. There's just your idea that every gay guy is Jack from Will and Grace is so archaic. Our long-standing commitment remains the same, to make everyone feel welcome and included in Rangel baseball, except the gays. In our ballpark, at every game, and in all that we do. For both our fans and our employees, we deliver on that promise across our many programs to have a positive impact across the entire community. All right, so that's what the Rangers say. Once again, we're in another month where there are no plans. There are a couple of faith and family nights planned. There's an Elvis night. There's a dog night. There's all kinds of different group nights for, area little league teams and stuff like that. There's probably even like a divorced single mom night out here. Not gays. That'd be too weird. Again, what made it weird is that the Texas Rangers mismanaged the public relations portion of this whole thing and found themselves the final and last team. And again, now here are their choices. They can come out and say, you know what? We're going to do a pride night now. We're going to do a pride night. And then everybody's going to be like, oh, you crumbled, you caved. Like, they can't win with that. So they're just not going to do it. They're just not going to do it. And it's like they're just going to sit here and they're going to be the weird last team, because now if they do it, it becomes a much bigger deal and a much bigger problem. The problem that they've been trying to avoid by pretending that this whole issue doesn't exist, they now find themselves under the microscope because they've made it weird by being the last one. Cultural and regional context, it says here, the club's decision stands out locally because all the other Dallas area sports teams, including the Mavericks, Stars, and Wings, well, WNBA, yeah, that's no surprise there, actively host pride celebrations. However, the decision faces less regional friction due to Texas's highly conservative political climate. It then goes in to talk about billionaire Ray Davis, who is the owner of the Texas Rangers, who contributes a whole lot of money to some of the absolute worst fucking causes imaginable. Because he's a billionaire and he likes a billionaire, and he's that. What else do we have here? So what do I think they should just do it? I think that they need to just bite the bullet. I think this would be my PR advice for the Texas Rangers. They could probably even do it this year. You probably got a whole bunch of games at the end of the season that ain't nobody care about because the Rangers aren't going to be in contention. Why not stand up right now and make a statement on behalf of gay Americans everywhere? 24 hours after Randy Ogles said that there is no place in America for gay people, how about the Texas Rangers come out and go, you know what? This has gone on long enough. This is silly. We are done being embarrassed by this. And we are now going to open our arms and say, yes, without question, we welcome every faction of this community into our stadium. Take it. Admit you made a mistake. Show humility. Say that you're embarrassed by the fact that you were the last team for 5 years and everybody's like, they hate gays. Prove that you don't. Come out today, tomorrow, whenever, make an announcement that you're going to have one game this year celebrating these people. That's all. That's all you got to do. Now, I've spoken since Monday about this industry of Gay Pride Month. And, it's been very effective forcing their way into every bit of American culture. And they will tell you probably proudly that was the plan from the beginning. We normalized the subject of gay culture. Target displays, that's because of the pride industry. Baseball having pride nights, that's because of the pressure of the pride industry. And now those aren't bad things. Those have truly gone a long way over the last 20, 25 years. Again, I always use the bookend of Ellen DeGeneres. From a time in America where she was not allowed on TV because she was gay, to a time when she was celebrated as the most positive and special influence on TV. Ellen was loved. Until everybody turned on her, right? Her sitcom, she was kicked off. Boo, she's gay, she's bad, can't be on TV. And then like 5 years later, oh my God, she's number one on TV. We changed. So my overarching sort of comment on the pride industry is that I think that they don't need to exist anymore. And I think they exist now because there's a lot of people who want to retire as CEO of New York Pride. They've got 5 more years. It's become a business. It's become a career. They have done an incredibly effective job of mainstreaming the acceptance of sexual orientations that are not male-female. They've done an incredible job. Again, just go back in the last 25 years. But they fixed the problem. Same thing with, cancer. People tell you all the time, they ain't trying to solve cancer. They ain't trying to cure cancer. They're desperately trying to figure out ways how they can make you live really long with cancer. They're trying to prolong your experience with cancer because they sell you all the drugs you're going to need. They don't want you to be cured. They also don't want you to die. They want to keep you alive and keep selling you pills. My mother takes 150 fucking pills a day. Anyway, so you see, the industry that has grown up around the idea of people's cancer problems has its own industry that is never going to cure them they were to cure, because that would mean they all lose their jobs. And that's all I'm saying about what appears to be happening with the Pride movement. But that doesn't excuse the Rangers for being the weird ones, the lone holdouts who just need to do it today. They need to come out and say, we're just going to do it. And it doesn't matter if it upsets a whole bunch of stupid bubbas. We have established that that is not the mainstream vibe of the country. Those are the weird, fringy people. So at this point, the only currency culturally that the Rangers are getting are from a group of people who are dwindling in size by the minute. So why are they still leaning into this? Come out, mea culpa, be celebrated as, can you believe we were that stupid? And move the fuck on. All right, there you go. Rangers Pride problems. Let's see. Well, I'm just checking on the chat room. Some comments on Willow Bend. Let's see here. All right, there we go. That's fine. Let's move on. Woo, look at me. I told you that we were going to have like a pretty quick show, and here we are. I've still got a whole bunch of stuff I got to talk about. All right, let's do this one. All right, I'll touch on this. So, do you remember Jersey Shore? Remember the TV show Jersey Shore? All right. When you think of the Jersey Shore, who were like the worst? Like, maybe this is unfair because we remember the people who were the worst, right? I can't remember anybody from the real world San Francisco, but I remember Puck. Oh, and Pedro. Pedro I remember because he had AIDS, and that was pretty shocking still back then. We remember the worst. So Jersey Shore, it's Pookie and the Situation. Remember Mike the Situation Sorrentino? It's a situation. Pretty clever. It's kind of clever. I was like, okay. Well, the first time I heard it, I'm like, it's kind of clever. And it got shoved down our throats. And I'm like, oh, this guy's the biggest. This guy's the biggest freaking 2005 D-bag you've ever seen. Is that about the time period of Jersey Shore? Like 2005? Or was it later than that? Or was it earlier than that? I'm not even sure. Anyway, Mike Sorrentino, who went from being, I don't know, a car stereo thief in New Jersey to being a reality TV star, to being a pop culture phenomena, to being a Las Vegas club DJ, to being an inmate. I think he got arrested for something, to then being a New Jersey gubernatorial cabinet candidate. Candidate. That's right. The Situation is floating the idea that he is putting together a committee to run for governor of New York. Now, who do you think? Right? You know what side he's on. Who would vote for the fucking Situation? Right? Okay. So that's what he's doing. New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill could have a, quote, situation on her hands. New Jersey Shore star Mike, the Situation Sorrentino, has been suggesting to many people that he may run for governor of the Garden State in 2029. Sorrentino, he didn't disclose which party that he will choose, but he dropped a huge hint when he said, I think the residents of New Jersey would like no property tax. Situation. He announced his interest in political office at a View magazine launch party. Who is still inviting him to parties? The Situation framed his political ambition as a professional next step. Oh, this is what we've done to politics. This is what we've done to governance through politics. We've taken out the Situation thinks he can be governor of New Jersey. Do you remember this guy? Wouldn't trust him with the fucking car keys. And people are like, I vote for the Situation because he's got a MAGA hat. This is who we are. I'd like to have an Archangel Center in every 50 state. What's an Archangel Situation? The Situation framed his political ambition as a potential next step after he grows his drug and alcohol rehab business, Archangels. Oh, that's what he's doing. Yeah, so I think he was like a rehab guy. And then some guys with money said, we should invest in the rehab industry. It's really going big. Hey, we should get a partner, though. That would be an interesting part. So that's how he is now like the Situation. Is that what he's doing? Whatever. He is not a serious person who could put together a nationwide rehab. He's just a name. Anyway, the Situation framed his political ambition as potential next steps after he grows his drug and alcohol rehab center. It's called Archangels. Noting he first wanted to establish a center in every state. Oh, that's right. And the best way to do that and raise money for your 50 state grand plan of having the Situation rehab centers from coast to coast. Your first step is to create a war chest. So in New Jersey, you can stir up stupids, you can raise money, and then when you lose, you'll have a whole bunch of money to fund your 50 state rehab plan. Okay, that's probably not the exact plan, but that's kind of how it works. You can raise money. You can professionally run for office with no intention of, one, being good should you win, or two, winning. You just run. It's a little more, look, it's not like you can just put it in your bank account. What you do is you run and then you suspend your campaign so that you can continue raising money. And then you take all the money in your war chest and you establish a political action committee. This is what I'm doing. All of these people who gave me money because they wanted me to be governor. Well, I can't be governor, but what I can do in good faith is I can take all of that money and keep raising more money. And I can take all that money and I'll establish a fund, and then I will oversee this fund and we will help other political causes that we deem necessary. Now, of course, this fund, I'm going to pay myself $2.5 million a year. It'll come out of this fund, administrative costs, and we'll probably never donate more than anything. But thank you, I'm the Situation, and now I've got a job with a steady income as the head of this political action committee that was created after I pretended to run for governor, raised a bunch of money, and then decided that I wouldn't be a good governor. That's the game. That's what's happening here. This is why Citizens United and the broken system of how we elect people need to be changed before we... I don't do politics. And whenever I start to get excited and want to go off on a political rant, I got to remind myself that this is not the place. We don't do politics, no matter how obviously fucked up everything is. Snooky. Yeah, I know. I said Pookie. It's Snooky. Snooky. There was one I do remember one chick on the Jersey Shore who had just like she was sexy. Like there was just something really sexy about her body. A busted. It was like, you're a busted Jersey Shore bitch. A man from the neck down. I remember there was one Jersey Shore chick who had like a really good body. I don't remember her name though. All I remember is Kooky and the Situation. Good branding. Situation knew about branding. He did. He understood that could take off. No, he didn't. That was just luck. He didn't do that. He didn't plan for the whole situation. He just... All right, let's get into a segment we do each and every day here. We like to wrap the show up with some fun little video. We're going to do 3 videos, ladies and gentlemen, 3 videos. The first one we're going to start with here comes to us from, I've never seen this. Maybe it's been around. Maybe other people have seen it. I don't know. I just think that I've seen like every Richard Pryor documentary, and I'm very well up on the life of Richard Pryor. I've never seen this interview before, and I have seen all of the old Merv Griffins and Mike Douglases and whatever, Ed Sullivan, all the stuff he did, but I've never seen this interview. This interview comes to us from 1979, I think. This was on the set of Stir Crazy. Remember Stir Crazy? Stir Crazy was the follow-up for Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder to Silver Streak. Silver Streak was the movie where they were on a train. Oh, these are such great movies. Man, do we really undervalue the Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor movies? I think we might. I think we might, because maybe there's only 2 good ones. Anyway, the 2 good ones are Silver Streak and this. The follow-up was Stir Crazy. Stir Crazy was Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder in jail, and they got sent to jail together, and they had to survive jail. So while they were filming Stir Crazy there, I guess they were filming it in Utah, a Mormon television show host, very popular there, community television or whatever, Richard Pryor was convinced to go on this guy's show, or at the very least, this guy would come out to the set and interview Richard. And Richard would sit down and give this Mormon interviewing Richard Pryor in 1979. That seems like something they should have known better, but okay. So Richard Pryor comes out and he sits down, and that's what we're going to watch here. Again, I had never seen this video before, but it is wild because Richard Pryor, this is Richard Pryor before he blew himself up freebasing. This is Richard Pryor. This is full blown, out of control. He is about to blow himself up freebasing in a couple of days. I honestly don't know what the proximity is to when he had that incident and when this interview was, but it's in the era. It is in the era where Richard Pryor was out of control. So let's watch this. Richard Pryor sits down to do an interview back in 1979 with a Mormon TV host, and Richard Pryor is high on cocaine and he is out of control. Let's watch it. Here we go. 1980.
Anywhere until I did this movie with Gene Wilder.
All right.
Yeah, I have never got no pussy anywhere until I did this movie with Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder attracts pussy. Gene Wilder attracts pussy and some pretty white boys.
We had some technical difficulties with audio, and he's at his lunchtime now, and like he's a superstar in more ways than one. 7 pussies since then.
See, the host is like this. So they're like, all right, that's just the start of it. We're going to edit that out. Like the host is trying to convey to Richard that, okay, you got that out of your system. Now let's do a real interview. So the host is like, we had some audio issues. No, Richard was talking about Gene Wilder liking little boys and how he never got laid until he started hanging out with Gene Wilder.
Yeah, I have never got no pussy anywhere until I did this movie with Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder attracts pussy. Gene Wilder attracts pussy and some pretty white boys.
We had some technical difficulties with audio, and he's at his lunchtime now, and like he's a superstar in more ways than one. 7 pussies since then. Richard Pryor. Richard, when I introduced you this morning, I said that I felt, in my opinion, we're watching you work and doing a lot of work.
You're a nice person. That's why it's so fun to do this with you, because you're really serious.
No, I am. I really am. The greatest comedian since Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie Chaplin's dead and fucking.
You want to talk about this movie?
Yeah, sure. What do you want to know about this movie?
Stir Crazy.
It sucks.
Now, Gene Wilder said that
Gene Wilder ain't shit. He's a faggot.
No, come on. You don't mean that.
I mean it. But you ain't gonna put it on.
Is that why he said he was going to marry you?
Yeah, he can suck my dick. I don't care. I like Gene, though, because he's funny.
Did he?
But he's queer as a $3 bill.
Are we rolling?
How you feel, Herb?
He just...
No, I'm happy, man. Look, let me tell you something. I got money. I don't give a fuck about nothing. Because you all can, if they take my money, they got to take yours.
Okay. We got that. Okay.
But he's a nice person.
Well, I started to say this. That
Yes, I'm going to be serious.
Okay, Gene said that he thinks this is going to be better in Silver Streak.
I don't give a fuck what Gene says. Gene don't know nothing. They ain't even edited it.
This movie has just been shot.
You agree with that?
No, you can edit a movie different than it is.
Yeah.
The movie, they paid me. I got my money. Fuck them. Fuck all you motherfuckers. I got my money. I'm rich. I'm a rich, black, ignorant nigga.
I don't believe that.
Oh, good. You the only
I don't
one.
believe that. I think
the rest of them out there in the audience know. You ask some of these cowboys if they want to lynch me or not.
I think we're going to see the day.
Ooh. Ow.
We're going to see the day when Richard Pryor edits or writes, stars, and directs a movie.
Richard Pryor would never do nothing y'all want. Richard Pryor is a criminal. I come from criminal people. I will be a criminal. I didn't get caught yesterday buying 7 pounds of cocaine in front of 8 policemen.
What do you think of censorship?
Fuck censorship and his mama.
By the way, he just said that straight into the camera. I promise you that's true. He just looked into the camera and he goes, I'm a criminal. I didn't get caught yesterday buying 7 pounds of cocaine. If you don't believe that, every legend about him is that he bought incredible amounts of cocaine at a time, and you would go to his house and there would be Tupperware bowls filled with cocaine. He just looked right in the camera and said, I bought 7 pounds worth of cocaine yesterday and you people didn't catch me. God damn.
What do you think of censorship?
Caught yesterday, criminal. I come from criminal people. I will be a criminal. I didn't get caught yesterday buying 7 pounds of cocaine in front of 8 policemen.
What do you think of censorship?
Fuck censorship and his mama. I ain't no good. I ain't trying to be no good. I'm happy. I just sucked 3 young white girl pussies.
Right. All right. Well, there you have a very high and probably weeks away from blowing himself up. It's interesting. That's fascinating. It's sad. It's not great. It's not great. It's interesting. It's like, man, that dude existed out in the wilds of California, behaving like that, high, and he was still the greatest comedic stand-up comedian. Yeah, I still think he's number one. Anyway, that's interesting. There you go. That's video number 1 in our 3 videos of very high Richard Pryor giving an interview, a vulgar interview, to a local Utah Mormon broadcaster. All right, here's another one. Let's see this one. Now, I believe this. I believe this happens. Okay. I think this is, I don't have a daughter, right? But if I had a daughter, I have friends who have daughters, and I have heard that, I have friends who have daughters who are teenagers and young women, 2022. And I've heard my friends talk about their daughters, dads talking about their daughters, and it's just, there is no faith in them. There isn't a dad with a 22-year-old daughter on this planet, I think, that is yeah, I trust her to totally make the right decision every time. Dads, for some reason, just have no faith in their daughters. They love them. They love them unconditionally. And maybe the reason they have no faith is because they are constantly tuned into anything bad that can happen to them. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's wish casting or nightmare casting in this case. But man, daughters are. So here we have an example of a daughter. This woman is 25 years old. She's being raked online. First of all, that she was willing to admit this, I think, is great. It's certainly click-worthy. I clicked on it, and I'm going to promote it here because, if you earn my click, I'll give it to you. If she is admitting this, that she did this, okay, you'll get a click for that because you're a fucking idiot, and you're standing here in front of everybody in a viral video going, this is what I did. I'm an idiot. But I look at it from a dad point of view, and I'm like, yeah, I know dads with daughters who would be like, I could totally see that happening. I believe it because I once tricked a boy. He was 17, but I tricked a boy into doing something really stupid that was car related. All right, so there's a 25-year-old girl. She just bought her first new car. She's driving it around. Apparently, it's hot. She realizes that the air conditioning doesn't work. She just bought a damn new car. She's livid. What is this? I live in a hot, warm climate. I just bought this brand new car, and you're telling me the air conditioning doesn't work. So she takes it back to the dealership. Anyway, here's the video. Let me share it with you. And again, if you're a father of a daughter, you might be able to relate to this. Anyway, here she is. Look at her. She's a sweet young girl, just out there. Got her new car. Oh, you love your new car, right?
Yes, I did bring my car into the dealership yesterday, and I said, my air conditioner is not working. He said, let me come take a look. So he gets in my car, he presses some things, and he said, listen, I know it's not a hot day and all, but this thing is blasting cold air at me. I said, there's no way. There's no way. I've spent the last 2 weeks sweating, profusely sweating in my car. The thing's broken. He said, did you try pressing the AC button? I said, no, I didn't know I had to press a button. I just thought I put it on cold.
I just love, again, I don't know. I believe that this is true because young girls are a little ditzy. But her response when he says, did you hit the AC on button? Her response to that just comes off so authentic. She's like, no, I didn't try that. It's so cute. And I totally believe that a girl of this age in this era would not know that in some cars, you probably have to hit a button that will engage the coldness. It'll blow. You can put it on cold. Like, on mine, I can put it on cold and it'll blow. But it ain't going to give me air conditioning unless I hit that little air conditioning button.
AC button. I said, did you try pressing the AC button? I said, no, I didn't know I had to press a button. I just thought I put it on cold. It was gonna blow cold air at me, and that's new to me. So I'm 25. You learn something new every day.
All right, there you go. She's cute. Your daughter. Now that reminds me of a story. We had this kid, Sam. He was younger than he was a brother of one of our guys that we ran around with. He was a younger brother. And he didn't drive. Was, nice kid, kind of quiet. Didn't really, not sharp. I don't know what kind of man he grew into, but at this point, he wasn't really sharp. And he didn't know anything about cars. And we were all, actually, I think I described him as 17, but actually in this moment, we were probably 17, 16. So he was maybe 14. And he was in the car with us, and there was probably like 5 of us dudes, and we went to the Brementown movie theater. We were going to see a movie, and we parked, and we started walking in, and I turned to everybody. I don't know how I came up with this, but I turned to everybody. Actually, the person who responded was Sam's brother. I said, "Did we lock the wheels?" I don't even know why I said it. I just said, did we lock the wheels? And the older brother, Tony, turned to me and he goes, I don't know. Sam, did we lock the wheels? And Sam is again 14 years old. And Sam's like, huh? And we're walking. We're like, Sam, go back and make sure we lock the wheels. So he turns around and walks all the way back to the car. And we see him and we're stopping and we're laughing. And he is looking at all the cars. He's like, wait a second. What do you mean lock the wheels? There are where are the locks? So, I played that prank on a kid. A kid thought you had to lock the wheels before you left. He didn't know any better. He was 14. This girl's 25. 25, she's driving around for 2 weeks, suffering through the heat of wherever it is she lives. She didn't know that there was an air conditioning button. Where's that from? What accent is that? Button. She says button. That's a regional accent. I don't know who says button. And then he asked me, he said, did you hit the button? I said, no, I didn't know there was a button. All right, there you have it. That is a cute little girl. All right, here's another one here for us parents. I love this one too. This is a fun little video that went viral. Anybody who has had a baby in a car seat, you get this. I call this baby fight. This is a mom literally in a fight with her baby, trying to put the baby into the car seat. And it is so relatable because I don't know, my kid wasn't a terrible kid, but man, when they're this age, when they're like 2 and they're just pissed, They don't know how to you want to talk about being an emotional infant, literally doesn't know how to process anything. They're tired and they don't know that they're cranky because they're tired. So they're going to take it out on you, but they're 2 years old. They can't even talk. So how do they kick it? How do they take it out? They kick you in the face. They bite you. It is all-out war, sometimes trying to get a kid throwing a tantrum buttoned into a car seat. All-out war. And they have no rules. They will bite, they will poke, they will twist, they will scratch, they will kick. And a parent, of course, has to just control it because we can't fight back. Watch this little kid and this mom. This mom is in here doing the work, boy. Call this fighting a baby. By the way, there are people in the comments who are like, you just got to smack that kid. I'm like, oh, fuck you. You don't smack a baby. You can't control your baby. This is what you got to do. This is just what you got to do, man. It's hard being a parent. Sometimes you got to get your hair pulled like this in the back of a SUV. Look at him. He's biting. He's pulling.
Let go.
She also, this is obviously her first kid. She's got him in cowboy boots. You don't put cowboy boots on a little kid. That kid's going to kick you in the face. You want him wearing like Nerf shoes, if that's even a thing.
Let go. Let go. Let go. Ow. Yeah, you got my hearing.
Oh.
Come on. You're going to buckle yourself. You're going to go. You're going to go. Come on, boy. Okay, come on. Honey, you have to buckle up.
I gotta say, I don't know if at this point she's being performative because it seems like, when my kid was that, I could do it pretty quick, right? It's just like snap, snap. And then you just, all right, shut up. And you close the door and you let him scream. But she seems to really be struggling. I don't know how. Isn't this like a Graco? Isn't that the Graco child seat? I think that's what we had, a Graco. Oh, it is. It's a Graco. Look at that. There it is. Yeah, that's only like 2 snaps, right?
Come on. You're going to buckle yourself. Okay, come on. Honey, you have to buckle up. No.
He's kicking. Oh, yeah, that's it. You got to get the boots off. He got the boots off. He doesn't realize that the boots were his best weapon. But he kicked his boots off. So, little kiss. I love you. You're a little piece of shit. There you go. Nope. All right. Oh, that's fun. Seriously, I see that. And I know I'm crazy because I got a 17-year-old. And look, I would much rather deal with those problems of trying to get a little tantrum throwing kid snapped into the back seat of a car. Much rather deal with those than whatever could come with a 17-year-old because I want one. I want one again just for a couple of weeks. Like just a couple of weeks, I'll just hang out with it and I'll do it was fun. I used to enjoy it. All right. There you go. That's 3 videos. A crazy Richard Pryor interview, a girl who didn't know that you needed to turn the AC on, and a woman fights her baby. Those are 3 videos. All right, we're going to finish things up the way we've been finishing up every show for the last few weeks. A little segment I call Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark. I'm Johnny Baseball. I love baseball. Baseball not been good the last couple of days. My White Sox dropped 2 in a row. 2 in a row on the road to the Twins. I don't know what they're doing right now. Let me see. No, never mind. Don't want to know. Don't fucking ruin it for me in the chat room, okay? Because after the show, when I'm doing the rest of my stuff here, I got a couple of things I got to do. I'll put the game on, and I don't need it ruined. Mooney's hurt. Mooney's hurt. We've lost 2 of the last 3 games since our Japanese superstar rookie of the year, starting first baseman for your American League All-Star team. He's out. He's out for like 4 weeks or something. Hold on. It says I'm muted. I'm not muted. I'm not muted. I am not muted. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? I don't know. I just got a text that says I'm muted again. and there is nothing muted here on the phone. We can hear you. Okay. All right. So did somebody mute themselves? Was I muted because I honestly, there was no. All right. Yeah. We can hear you. 51, not 5. We hear you. All right. Whatever. I don't know. All right. Oh, April. Was it you, April? Did you derail the show because you accidentally muted? It's been cutting in and a lot. It's been cutting in and out a lot on this stream. Well, I don't know why that is. Well, now I just feel like, what are we doing here? Why, can't beat fun at the mood is wrong. Mood has been ruined. Can't beat fun at the old ballpark segment of today's show. Well, I'm not going to let that ruin you, because although I did tell you that my White Sox have dropped 2 games in a row, let me show you something that I consider the art of baseball. I'm telling you, if you either love baseball and you understand what is happening, or you're like, this is boring. No. There is, first of all, can I tell you something that this White Sox team of mine, this team that has surprised us all this year, this White Sox team is doing, in addition to being one of the top teams in all of baseball with hitting home runs, they're just crushing the ball. They've also brought back the freaking bunt. They brought back the idea of moving players around, not necessarily having to win with the long ball. Anyway, let me show you something from last night's game. This is the art of baseball. This is beautiful. I mean, this is just, who doesn't love a grand slam? Who doesn't love a well-timed down the line double to the wall corner, right? Everything. There are all kinds of things to love. This is what I love. This is the art of baseball. So let me show you this. This is just a couple of clips. They're all put together for you because it is an absolutely beautiful moment of how baseball should be played. This is Luis Angel Acuna. Okay. You're going to look at Luis Angel Acuna. He is the little brother of Ronald Acuna, and he is one of the White Sox young players who we're hoping to see develop into a real weapon. Got a lot of hope for him. Problem with Luis Angel Acuna, he is a knockdown infielder. He is a terrific defensive player. He has elite level major league speed. So he is, he's the late inning base stealing threat. He is the defensive replacement. He is the ghost runner, if you can. The problem with him is he hasn't been hitting all that well. He doesn't put bat on ball as well as we would like to. But that's okay, because this kid is developing an eye. Now, let me show you the art of baseball. This is Luis Angel Acuna, again, little brother of Ronald Acuna, Major League Baseball superstar. Watch what he does here. All right, so you see it's a full count. Little guy, he's up there at the plate. He's got a full count, right? Next pitch, he's going to walk. He's going to walk his base.
Every year.
There he goes. Take your base. All right. Here we go. Very next pitch, very next batter. He is going to steal second in the blink of an eye. Remember, he just took first base. He just took first base on a walk, and then he gets there. He's not there 3 seconds, and now he's going to steal second.
Homers. He got hot.
All right. That's very good.
How about Acuna? Using the wheels, a stolen base, gets into scoring position after getting called up recently. There goes.
All right, now he's going to steal third. Remember, this guy reached base by having a good eye because he's in a bit of a hitting slump. So he just stood there and rocked a full count and took first base. Stole second. Now here he goes. Just a couple of pitches later, he's now stealing third.
Acuna, the throw to third, into left field, and Acuna, he will walk home. He created the first run of the game all by himself. White Sox a 1-0 lead.
That is fun at the old ballpark, ladies and gentlemen. That is the art of baseball. It doesn't have to be bat on ball. It doesn't have to be, you're going to hit 50 home runs a year. You can manufacture runs by being wily and crafty. That was beautiful. One more time. Watch it all.
30s every year. Dingley with 2 homers. He got hot. How about Acuna? Using the wheels, a stolen base, gets into scoring position after getting called up recently. There goes Acuna, the throw to third, into left field, and Acuna, he
forced, by stealing third, he forced that catcher to make a high probability bad throw. That's what speed, that's what, understanding, the game. That's what that brings you. That was fantastic. All right. I love that. It's not as exciting as seeing a 500-foot home run to dead center field, but I'll tell you, that is the art of baseball. Manufacturing runs. I mean, there have been teams that have won games while being no hit because they know how to manufacture runs. Oh, jeez. See, I just said that. And now Adam's like, that's not true. So now I got to go to AI. Now I got to see if that's true because I imagine that is true. Has any team in Major League Baseball ever won a game after being no hit? Trying to head Adam off at the pass here. Yeah, okay, yeah. All right. There you go. 6 times. It's happened 6 times. So it's not really that big of a deal. Let's see. Most recently, what is the most recent one? Oh, 2022. Look at that. May 15th, 2022. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Cincinnati Reds. Pittsburgh Steelers were no hit. They were no hit, and they still won. 1-0. Probably errors. Probably walks and errors. All right, guys, that's going to do it. We'll be back here tomorrow, right? Please support the show. Drop a little tip if you can. Again, this isn't the full hard press pledge week, but we could definitely use your help. So drop a little something if you want to support this kind of daily talk radio, the kind of talk radio that I promise you can't get anywhere else because I only do it here. I'm not like anyone else. All right, love you guys. Drop a little something. Be good to each other. And what do we say around these parts? We say stay neighborly.